Everybody. Just moving some stuff around. It's been a little while, obviously. Had a super good weekend here, and had some family visit for a little bit, and got to play some in-person gaming and do some other stuff, and just some video games, and all that was really good. I can't wait for Pandemic World to be over and to actually be able to do in-person gaming and all those hangouts and stuff more often because it was really good to actually do some of that. But for now, continue to keep my circle pretty small and just see those family members every once in a while. But that was really good. I didn't even really watch the Fire 2 Open game yet, so that'll be fun to catch up on. I mean, I know who won, and I peeked at parts of it, but that'll be fun to look up later. As for TM stuff for me, I got my Fire 2 game on Wednesday, which will be a fun time. I Barnawall's been playing pretty well lately. Still don't know a lot about Chase Stu, and I'll be curious to see how well Green Rain does in live play, but it'll be a really fun game. So um, we are back down to rank 14 currently, which is totally fine. I've talked about this before and a little bit, but basically, like, it's a little tricky during the season because we haven't been playing, but other people have been moving past us, which happens. But we're kind of at that point in the season where we're finally far enough along that there's enough elite players and even gold players that it's a lot easier to move your rating up now because you're playing other players that are like appropriately rated, and so it's easier to move up. Part of the difficulty of moving up a lot early in a season is that most of the people you play have very few games, and so their rating is probably lower than it should be. And so, yeah, like a lot of experts aren't rated at all what they should be, etc., etc. If I beat NerdCube during his first game of the season, it's like I beat any other player. And so, anyhow, I think because of part of that effect, a lot of players are finding themselves move up a bit, which is totally fine. But the interesting stuff to note at the top of the leaderboard is Blast has been up here a lot during the season, has been doing well. NerdCube and Deep Finesse are right behind, but Deep Finesse actually had some losses, it looks like. Claybo's right up there, but the good news is we're not that far away at all anymore. 1716 to 1765 is like three-ish good wins in a row. So it's exciting to know that we're getting up there. Our games played are doing about what I was hoping. I was hoping to get about a game a day this season. I think to have a serious shot at winning Arena, you do tend to need to play almost. I think you do need to play almost like 90-ish games during the season. I don't know if that's necessarily true. Basically, the tricky part of winning Arena is that you not only have to play really well, but you have to kind of have a good streak and then stop. And so you just give yourself more chances to have a really good streak if you play a lot of games. And so I think both like NerdCube and Halai played more on the order of like 150 games during a season, which translates to almost like a game and a half a day. But we'll see what happens. Oops, I should actually center things. As for chat, hey, thanks for dropping in. So Falco D Air, I didn't I didn't watch the whole game yet. I had a really good weekend with some family visiting, and I didn't look through the whole thing yet. But I've watched bits of it and I know what happened. Very broadly, my thoughts are I feel a bit bad for NerdCube actually. I think NerdCube played really well. I think Deep Finesse played pretty well too, but when I was watching that game and I saw the opening placements, it's one of those games that kind of completely shifted because I think players did things with their opening placements that weren't necessarily foreseeable or weren't that easily predicted during the auction, and it made engineers way better than I think they probably should have been. I think you should not probably bid 30 on witches if you know that you're going to do that for engineers. I don't think you should bid 30 on chaos if you know you're going to do that, or whatever you bid on chaos if you know you're going to do that with engineers. And so it's kind of crummy. I'm not gonna lie, I really also don't like when players like I hope that the meta doesn't continue to push for these really wacky setups, but I kind of get the reasoning for going for it, but it's so different from how the game would be played if we still were in faction pick order. And I think it leads to a lot more volatility in the starting spots and how the first initial rounds go when you have these like mega sandwich color faction wheels. I think it often leads to some factions essentially just being dead out of the water after the first couple moves. And I don't think that's good for the game. I don't think it's interesting. Um, I think it should tend to be avoided. And one of the big benefits to picking factions in player order is it does avoid that because you would never get that otherwise. And so if the auction world suddenly starts to exploit the fact that it's auctions in order to have a game that's increasingly divorced from what the base game originally was, I'm honestly going to like Terra Mystica less and less. So I hope that that's not the future we're going to see. Um, but I know that that is explicitly a tactic Deep Finesse enjoys to leverage. And he does seem to be good at getting lucky or correctly predicting how the early wackiness can and will unfold. And yesterday it seemed to pay off for him. Nerd Cube paid for the safest position. I think he probably should have been able to win if the placements were a bit more what I was thinking they would be. But I think the placements basically threw the game to engineers. The engineers did win. And I think both Witches and Chaos Magicians, as we saw, kind of killed their own games by picking those spots. I think they both were kind of out of it, and both of them indeed were. And so I don't know if it's really a strategy to predict that two of your opponents are essentially going to throw their games away so that you can win as any sort of reliability. And I'm not entirely convinced that's what that game yesterday was, but I'm not unconvinced that's what it was. So on the whole, I actually think it was, I don't know. I don't actually think it was a very interesting game to watch. I think after the bidding and the opening placements, I think it was pretty foreseen what was going to happen, and that is what happened. And it wasn't exciting, but oh well. You think initial placements changed it drastically? Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of these matchups where you don't have much data, I think opening placements always can like kind of throw games off drastically, but especially when you don't necessarily have scripts and people are going to try some weird things. I think the game shifts a lot after placements, and there's no real easy way around it. I know some people have talked about like, oh, well, we could try to have bidding after the placements, but there's big issues with that too, in terms of some of the nonsense you could try to pull. Like, if we already think that people are trying to somewhat exploit auctions by throwing in super sandwich factions, you could have people exploit auctions where whatever color, like you could throw Chaos Magicians way down into a stupid corner or something on the base map, and then just watch how players are going to bid and respond to that, and you're going to get these wild games that don't even represent what the original game is like at all. So I don't think bidding after placements is ever going to solve it. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see long term. I think bidding can only do so much. I think it does somewhat rely on people. I do think it somewhat relies on players putting in factions that make at least some loose sense for the setup and the color wheel you're looking at. And if players start to not follow that, I'm actually genuinely curious how things will continue after that, but we'll find out. As for the game right now, I'm just waiting. As usual, I started up a thing without really paying attention, and I maybe should have just waited, but whatever. I can blab on about some thoughts. We're currently queuing with Assorted Needles. I actually don't think I've played Assorted Needles much, but I know he's quite good, and wow, he's really on a run. I don't think he used to be rated that highly. Oh, he was briefly, but for most of the recent memory. Okay, but he's on a good run again for him, which is cool. I'm curious if I played him before. I literally haven't. That's a bit wild. Oh well. We'll see. Maybe this will be our chance. The only other thing I've been paying way too much attention to is the hullabaloo about Board Game Arena getting bought out by Asmodee. And I don't really need to voice my thoughts here beyond I think most people are making way too much of an issue out of it. I think it's largely not going to impact any of us that play on the day-to-day basis, but the drama around it has kept me somewhat entertained. I keep reading Board Game Geek and these forums, so I probably should just extract myself, but whatever. I have no idea how long we're actually going to wait, so hopefully not too much longer. Let's go back to peeking at Weber's game. I meant to actually watch that, and then I didn't. What do we got going on here? I see a Swarm leads with like no points, but they do have a big center town and the 2 key town. That's neat, but hey, you'll gladly pay $5 a month to make the site even better. Yeah, I mean, broadly, Flower, I agree that I think prices are already like ridiculously cheap on the site, and I think prices probably should increase a bit. And I'm not even, from everything BJ has said, the fact that Asmodee just bought them out, like they're operating independently. They're still in like control, or not quite control, but based on what they've said in their announcements and stuff, like I really don't think anything's changing. I don't think their pricing is changing anytime too soon. And I think the long term of BJ's future was always going to be to raise prices a bit. I think it was always going to be that we would see some more premium games. And I honestly am of the opinion that that's a good thing. I mean, personally, as a consumer, we all want free things. That's great. But I really respect the creative professionals in this industry. I respect designers and artists and developers and publishers that take all the effort to make these games. I don't think I deserve their product for free. I think they have a right to it in a digital space, and I think it would be great for this hobby if those players in the industry got their fair cut of revenues from digital gaming. And so the premium model here on Board Game Arena, I think, is fantastic. Publishers like the publisher of Terra Mystica can host their game, and they get a very small cut of money for every hour their game is played, much like music streaming, where if you stream a song, that artist gets a very small portion of the proceeds or whatever. I think that's great. I think that's fantastic, and I hope Board Game Arena continues down that path in the future. And I hope more people in this industry can get paid through that model. And I hope I can continue playing a lot of games and a lot of interesting games on this site for years to come because of that model. And I think all of that can and still will be true. And I don't think Asmodee buying out BGA is going to in any way lead to Asmodee-only things on this website or anything. Despite a lot of people's beliefs that Asmodee is both this like evil monolithic mega corporation, but also like grossly incompetent, doesn't square with my experiences of how this stuff works. Asmodee is a savvy business, and they are not going to kick other gamers off of the preeminent gaming platform just to try to watch their competitors make an alternative. So we'll see. I could be completely wrong, but anyhow, not sure how the royalties work, but can't be worth it for the premium games. Yeah, so the way the royalties work is that basically for every hour your game is played, BGA pays you a very small percentage if your game is a premium game. And somehow the $24 I pay every year or whatever covers all the premium games I paid. I mean, I agree. It's like, for me, I get that I'm a kind of a mega user compared to many, although I'm not even that on the mega end compared to some of the people I know. But obviously, a lot of people do use this site without doing all that much. So I agree. I don't know. Like I think the end game has to be prices are eventually going to raise. Ooh, we have George Shortwell in our game. That's fun. Assorted Needles is also quite good. And this player, I have no idea. Before I get fully into the game, the last couple thoughts on Board Game Arena is essentially yes. I think the future continues to look great. And I honestly hope that this whole site continues to grow. I hope it gets a lot more games. I hope more publishers and developers go premium. I honestly hope prices increase a bit. I think this whole industry deserves the money, and I currently pay a ridiculously small amount of money to use this compared to any other entertainment product. So as much as, again, personally, I would prefer to get all this for free, in reality, I would prefer to see more people in this industry get paid for their work and effort. But anyhow, as for this game itself and less theorizing about crazy things, we have temples into big buildings, bunch of dwellings, then trading posts, then towns. We love late town games. We tend to love witches. Witches temple into stronghold, bunch of mid game dwellings, trading post late, make your towns. We had a 4-town game, not that long ago that I had a great fun with. So I'm very tempted to just throw in witches. I do see a bunch of witches, but you got big buildings, you got dwelling passes, you got pretty much everything for a good witches game. You have a pretty good track to go big econ because building lots of dwellings and lots of trading posts and scoring big towns will pay off. So yeah, I'm going to throw in witches. To nobody's real surprise. So, am I excited for International Clash? Yes. So International Clash should be a real fun time, and I'm actually super intrigued about the idea of like team-based fighting. Yeah, George Shortwell's giving me a shocking pick. But yeah, I'm really excited about team-based idea of Terra Mystica. I actually kind of I've been debating trying to get a couple of friends together and to run a stream or two or a mini team tournament where, yeah, you pair up with one other player and you get to talk to them while making decisions. I was hoping to maybe even stream one of those. I think it would be super intriguing. And maybe I'll actually organize that at some point soon. But the International Clash is just going to be like that idea on a grander scale with even better production. So it'll be really cool to watch that. And yeah, you agree BGA is worth more than I'm paying. Yeah, I mean, a lot of us feel that way. One of the toughest parts about all this, right, is how do you get enough people? Like, there's a bunch of mega users that probably should be paying more and that would gladly give more, like us. There are a lot of people, though, that are I log into BGA for, just a couple of hours here and there. And how do you get a pricing model that more fairly represents all of that? I don't quite know, and I'm not in charge of figuring all that out. All I know is BGA has repeatedly stated that their current model works great for them with low prices, and so I trust them to continue running things. And honestly, I trust the future to continue to go pretty well long term too. And maybe I'm not pessimistic enough, but whatever, we'll see. I have the tendency to put in strong races instead of weak races. Do you think it benefits better players? You tend to think the opposite. Weaker races are better for better players as weak as races. So this is a really interesting argument, right? I think all right, Flower, I'm going to go back to your question in a sec. Crix, thank you so much for subbing, and thank you for always making me snicker and smile. And yeah, you're a clever and witty fellow, and I really appreciate you subbing, and I do appreciate your comments. Razzing me is a time-honored tradition, and I look forward to that continuing. So yeah, thanks much, buddy. Flower, going back to you quick. I think it's weird. Like, I think part of my expertise is that I can better evaluate how matchups and factions are going to play out. And that tends to involve playing it as if there's a bunch of experts. And if we were all around a table, we would pick these sorts of factions in player order. This looks like a pretty fair pick order. And so we don't even like super need auction. I mean, we do. Auction is still important here. I'm still bidding witches for the record, by the way. Colorless witches on this map with late towns. I mean, this is, yeah. But anyhow, broadly, like, this isn't that crazy from what pick order would be. It's not that crazy from what the game would normally be. I personally think that does somewhat advantage me. Now, maybe you're correct. Maybe I can play Orin better than most of these players, and maybe I should throw them in more often. But I don't really know, because it can also be a lot harder to make predictions if you throw in a bunch of weak races that don't necessarily have the tools to compete. One of the other problems I have with putting in the traditionally weaker factions is precisely because they're viewed as weaker. And they are weaker. They're not just viewed as weaker. They have less tools for getting out of tricky situations and bad spots. They have less vibrant lines of play. They're much more narrow in what will work and what won't work. And so part of why I tend to like to put in strong factions and I bid on strong factions is because then even if I get put in somewhat tricky situations, I have tools to play around it because that faction has so many options. Part of Witch's strength on this map is that it's very hard for me to get completely cut off from options. I can move around easy. I can do other things. Whereas if I'm playing dwarves, I can easily like get cut off from towns or expansion or all sorts of stuff, and it can be very hard to find paths. So I really don't know. That's like a very tricky question for me in terms of what like is actually correct, but this feels like a 4-town round 6 witches game. I mean, so that's the dream. I should really finally actually dive into some more analysis rather than the more broad stuff. We're expecting Darklings, witches, probably cultists, probably chaos, probably witches, maybe cultists. I'm actually very surprised by Assorted Needles jumping to Darklings on this. I mean, I guess Darklings can handle towns pretty well. Darklings love this into this. Darklings maybe even send their first priest to fire and take fire 1. I mean, that actually does look pretty strong. But the reason I'm not like super excited about it is like if cultists do like start here and beat Darklings to this or something, and cultists can get a little annoyed in terms of taking some browns and blacks. And the real issue is Darklings like are best on this map if they get a center sanctuary town, but if we get witches and chaos and then cultists do start here, I mean Darklings aren't gonna get a center sanctuary town. Darklings it's gonna be harder for them to get 3 towns then. I'm really surprised by that. I'm gonna keep bidding witches for a bit. I think witches just get to upgrade first. They get a ton of leech. I should actually look at the past tiles too. Cultists get a spade. That's certainly fine. Chaos and Darklings probably take big building and priest in some order. There's also worker power. Witches might just get tempship in the first seat, which I've long expressed how much I love just taking tempship on this map as witches and just getting these dwellings out without even having to get digs. I don't know. I think witches are great here. Like just great. Whereas like witches have a super easy town through these hexes. I mean, maybe Darklings start here and cut this off, and so that would be a bit sad, but I don't generally think this is a great plan for Darklings, but maybe it's the play here. I don't know. But I think if witches get through like this, it's great. Witches tend to get this. With this color wheel, witches can build a stronghold and get here and then here, and just there's no fighting. In this color wheel, there's a chance that witches get a town over in here, but I'm guessing cultists probably do get over here at some point. Chaos, I think, are going to have to start here and go through this stuff on this map. Chaos maybe can get away with opening temple plus 2 dwellings, because I'm not sure who's going to take single dig on them, but I'm definitely bidding witches. I'm still very surprised by the Darkling bids. I think Darklings are quite good on this map, but like you do have a color neighbor. I guess the track is quite good for Darklings in terms of like the rounds definitely work reasonably well for them, but like there's no Earth Cult rewards. There's a late-ish Water Cult reward. I guess Darklings almost have to play like a Fire 1 plus Priest to Fire game, and that's pretty good cult econ then. But I don't know. I'm not seeing the Darklings bids here, to be honest. I'm not totally sure I should continue bidding witches, but I do love witches on this map, so I'll pay just slightly more. But it might be getting close to time for chaos. I don't think this game's at all bad for chaos. I suspect chaos can just take the big building tile if they want and just open sanctuary. I think mid-game dwellings into later trading posts is really good for chaos. The big issue for chaos is late towns is bad. Cultist in the game, I guess, makes a bit tougher for chaos as well in terms of winning all the cults. But this map tends to be pretty good for chaos, and they don't have color neighbors. One of the difficulties for chaos is that this hex can be contested by witches, and this hex is pretty important for chaos, I think, especially in terms of them trying to make towns. This hex can also be pretty important for chaos. But witches, especially if they are going to get tempship, might take this in round 1. Because if chaos can start here and take this hex, it just makes the expansion a lot easier. Whereas if Chaos starts here, you have to get to triple ship in order to reach this, which tends to take quite a few more rounds to be able to afford that. So we'll see. Yeah, Flower, some of your arguments there make some sense in terms of why maybe people don't like to take the weaker factions as much, but I don't know. It is still really tricky for me. Um, Whether or not it's totally correct, I also do find that especially against like more mediocre players, that I think they target me and high rated players a bit more than they should. And it's a lot easier to deal with mild disruption when you're playing like a stronger, more robust faction, like especially like a Darklings, right? Like it's really hard to disrupt Darklings. Like, oh no, you cost me one extra spade. That's usually not a big deal. Whereas if you cost something like Fakir's one extra spade, that can be a huge problem. And so, yeah, I don't know. I tend to feel better about just putting in stronger factions, I guess, in general, but I probably can handle more other stuff. But I'm happy to do this. I continue to think Darklings are just being overbid here. I'm still really surprised about the Darklings bids. Seeing a couple Chaos bids makes a lot of sense. I think that's totally fine. The real question here is, do cultists have a game too? And I mean, these cultists surely have some sort of a game, but with no ship scoring in the game, I really think it's tricky. I think like cultists are probably not going to want to actually build a big building around two. And there's definitely some value to being able to score big buildings, although I guess these three factions are all going to fight for it anyhow. But I'm going to throw another on Witches. I might be paying a bit too much, but my general feeling on this map and this sort of track is that Witches are just really good. And the rest of these factions are fine. They're all quite strong, but I don't think it's that big of a deal to be bidding Witches here. And the main thing I'm starting to get a little hesitant on is are Witches 15 victory points better than Cultists? I'm absolutely convinced that Witches are better than Darklings. I still think Witches are better than Darklings by like 10 points, so that's why I'm saying that I'm quite surprised by the Darklings bids. The Chaos versus Witches margin seems about right to me. If anything, maybe Chaos are closer than I'm thinking, but late towns is still really tricky for Chaos, as are just any towns, so I don't know. I think I'm feeling pretty good about these bids still. If I have to pay too much more for Witches, then we're getting into trouble. Especially since Witches cult rewards are pretty bad here. Witches aren't going to get much cult economy, so I should consider that a bit. Because there's not much cult economy, there is a world where I just skip where I skip temple round one, and I might just take temp ship, build a trading post, and then hope to get double dig on the rebound, and do the thing I love where I just open trading post and 5 dwellings into stronghold round 2 and just go full massive crazy econ. But we'll see. Assorted Needles is finally back on Team Witches after all this time. He was the one that jumped to Darklings very early. So either he's trying to bid us down because he thinks we love Witches too much, or he's finally realized the truth. The truth is I still like Witches. I think cultists are probably fine to take, though, here. My big concern is that usually with cultists, I like to start here and here. But if Darklings start on this hex, it makes it a decent bit worse, although not terrible. It still means you got to get to 2 ship, and you probably got to beat Darklings here. And then you get all these kind of hexes. But this little town stretch is quite nice for cultists. And to not get it's a little rough. This town stretch is pretty nice for cultists too, but if you start here and here as cultists, you're going to give Darklings this center sanctuary town that they're going to love, and you're probably going to get cut off as cultist if you do that. And not being able to play for network here does really limit cultists. And so I think that's why nobody's touching them yet. I think there's definitely some awkwardness with cultist game. The other real thing that I should be considering that I probably should have thought about is the somewhat weaker players playing Darklings, which also really leads to some more confusion about where they're going to start. If I start here and here's Cultist, is a weaker Darklings player ever going to start here? I don't actually know the answer to that. Is there any chance that Chaos starts center this game too? I haven't really considered that. Chaos will be sitting before Cultists. So Chaos could choose to actually start here this game and take like worker power tile and just assume that they'll get double dig, and then they can still open temple and go for sanctuary round 2. But one of my opinions is like the only time you really have to, the only time Chaos are super good if they start center is if they get to just open sanctuary and then expand and have a center sanctuary town. And so I'm not too worried about that. Assorted Needles has gone back to Darklings. And now Witches got bid by the other player again. I think Chaos are probably at least 5 points better than Cultists, but it's close. But I'm going to put a thing on Chaos now. We'll see. One of the nice things for Chaos is actually these cult rewards are quite good for Chaos Magicians because they already start at 2 fire. They often take fire 1 as a favor. And then if you get a single priest to fire, now you have a bunch of stuff going. So I think that all looks pretty nice for Chaos Magicians. I think round 3 and round 4 dwellings is really all Chaos ever wants to build anyhow. So we'll see. I don't like super want to play Chaos here, but I think it's I think Chaos are just at the best. I think they're just at the best value now. I mean, we're getting 7 victory points on Darklings, and we're getting 13 on Witches. Feels pretty good. The really tough part for me is when to take Cultists. There's ways that the Cultist game goes pretty well, but there's a lot of scenarios where I don't super love Cultists here. So, I don't know. We'll see. I don't super love Chaos's game here either, because Chaos probably wants to start here, and you're going to upgrade after Darklings, so like you're going to get a good amount of leech over the first couple rounds from Darklings, but after that, I don't totally know. You also might quasi have to race Witches for this hex, but not sure. If I'm Chaos, I personally am just opening Sanctuary. I think Sanctuary openings are just very strong. I get that delaying the Sanctuary for the next round is also very reasonable here, so I'm not entirely opposed to it. But the main alternative that I think is strong and possibly better for Chaos is if Chaos can open 2 dwellings. So in order for Chaos to open 2 dwellings here, you kind of got to get like Bridge and Single Dig, or you take like Temp Ship just so you can build this hex and then get Single Dig. I don't know if you can guarantee that. George does decide to go on Chaos again. I'm tempted to bid him 1 more on Chaos still. I'm starting to get to a point where the Witches are scaring me just a little. I mean, the Witches are still going to have a really good game, I'm pretty sure, but so it's starting to get to be a lot of points to make up. I'll bid 1 more on Chaos. I'm a little uncertain about that bid, but I think it's good. Oh, and George does jump over to Cultists, which kind of thought he might, so I'm fairly happy with this. I still think the Darklings bids were too much, and with George playing Cultists, I feel better about that. With the Witches being played by arguably the weakest player at the table, I think that's also generally a good news. Cultists does go here, which I think is a pretty big boon for my hope that Darklings were overbid. I think the only way Darklings were super correct is if they got this center town. This is also a big like screwing up Cultists in some ways. I mean, they will both survive, but it's awkward for all of them. So this is where we could start center and we could single dig first action, or we could just start here and go for a sanctuary. I am very much a fan of the sanctuary plan. I think we can play fairly culty this game by I think we can possibly just get this town pretty early, and then we just aim for 1 or 2 towns in the late game. I don't think Cultists will beat us to a town. I think here's just way too risky. If Darklings take this hex, we basically have to take this hex as the first action of the game, and if we somehow get blocked on single dig, and the question is, do I really want to single dig this? If I do that, I might also run out on. I might lose a race on Earth 1, although I'm not expecting an Earth 1 race. but there could be. So I think it has to be here. All those double turns, yeah, stronghold round 2, yeah, that'd be fun, but that's not happening. I think I'm just going sanctuary. I mean, I'm mildly tempted to go for like a temple and a dwelling or 1 or 2 dwellings opening, but I don't really think it's gonna work. Yeah, the center is very tight, which I was expecting. These actually are the starting spots I was expecting this game, which does not always work out, so that's interesting. It's a nice party in the middle. Yeah, I'm a little sad to be chaos here because I'm a little out of the party, but the only people really in the party are Darklings and Witches. Cultist is also kind of at the periphery of it all, so it's all right. I would expect Cultists to take the spade so that they could go here. If Cultists don't take the spade, I will take the spade then, and I will open Temple. I will expect to get the bridge, and I will open Temple plus 2 dwellings. So actually, I would love the spade. But yeah, Cultist does just take it, which I think is absolutely the right play. I'm going to just open Sanctuary then. I think it's totally fine to not be able to not delay it. I think it's just the best opening we can get at this point. The only reason I wouldn't take it is if I felt pretty convinced I could get the single spade action on this hex, but I don't feel that confident I can get single spade. I think it's reasonably likely, to be honest. I think Witches probably take double dig. I think Cultists are not going to take a spade power action. So I think if we wanted single dig, I could probably take Temp Ship and build this hex and still get single dig, but I think it's too much of a gamble compared to just open Sanctuary. Maybe I get the Priest power action, which would be pretty awesome as well. Darklings does just take another Priest. Makes a lot of sense. Witches, at this point, I don't even know what I take. I probably still take Temp Ship as Witches. I think it's very good. But Witches take Worker 3 power. I think that's wrong. I think Temp Shipping would have been much better for Witches. But the main issue is because like Witches probably get double dig now, but where do you put it? I guess you could just take the center. But I think that was already a mistake from Witches. I think Temp Shipping is so good for them. Darklings feels compelled to secure this hex, so Darklings might just lose out on Earth 1, which makes sense to me because I don't actually think Darklings cared about Earth 1. I believe Darklings' plan is to... I still think Darklings' plan involves templing for Fire 1 and sending the first Priest to Fire, is my guess. But we'll see. Darklings also do need workers now that they did that. So I'll be curious when they take the workers power action. The truth is I have no interest in it. And Witches started with an extra worker. So admittedly, it looks pretty safe for Darklings that they can get a workers power action. The main power actions I'm interested in are taking the Priest. Otherwise, I think I'm mostly going to save power. I might take the coins in order to go Sanctuary, because you have to convert 1 power to a coin anyhow. So it's pretty reasonable to convert 3 more power into 6 coins at that point, is essentially what you're saying. But we'll see. I do think there's a lot of reasons to want coins this game. There's some coins on the pass tiles, but there's no 6 coin tile. So there's not like, and there's no coins on the cults except for round 1, which is hard to leverage. So I do think it's pretty reasonable to take a lot of coins this game. Part of why I did like Chaos is because you're going to take Fire 1 and you kind of have better coin income. But we do see Earth 1 Witches, which makes sense. I'm expecting Darklings are going to get cut out of Earth 1 then this game, because I think Cultists are just going to take Earth 1 as well. But Cultists might take Fire 1. It's very reasonable for Cultists to take Fire 1 as well and just leverage these early cult rewards. So we'll see. Witches not taking double dig is probably fine. I think it still comes back to them. But again, they don't even have a great spot to double dig because they didn't take Temp Shipping. So we'll see. I obviously would have done different things as Witches here. I'm a bit sad that we couldn't actually play them, but we're doing good things. We're going to get fed a lot of Leech. I'm really surprised that Darklings picked this hex. This is... I haven't apparently ever played with the Sorting Needles, and he's rated very highly, but I honestly think this is already a mistake from him. I would upgrade here always. Witches are already basically done with their upgrades here. If you upgrade here, you have a much better chance in the future of getting more Leech from your opponents upgrading more. But I'm not in charge. I really do kind of want the priest power action, but I do think I also really do want Earth 1. I think Chaos Magicians, because you get so many favors, especially since I'm planning to go, or not just planning, I'm going to open Sanctuary. When you get this many early favor tiles, I think one of them just like has to be Earth 1. And if you're going to open Sanctuary, I also think it's pretty mandatory to take Earth 2 because you need the worker production. Plus, this gives me 1 power, so I'm going to lock into taking those 2 and then see what comes back around here. I would take the priest power action if I'm able to. I will consider taking the coins. I guess Darklings have to take workers probably as their next action, so I'm not actually probably getting more leech before my next turn anyhow. And we do see Cultists go Earth 1. So Darklings does get blocked from Earth 1 in case they cared. Again, I don't know if they cared that much because I think Darklings are just going Fire 1 into Priest to Fire, but I'm a big fan. Witches take Single Dig. This is why I think like Worker 3 power is just so much worse than Temp Shipping. Like, Double Dig is so much more efficient than Single Dig, but Witches are getting an insane amount of power, especially with Darklings choosing to give them even more rather than a little bit less. So, I don't know. Do you think Cultists open 2 temples? Oh, I haven't even been considering that. Cultists opening 2 temples is actually very reasonable and would be amazing. I would love that because it means Darklings would get blocked from the Workers' power action, which I think is pretty awful for them. But that would just be hilarious fun. I have a big decision now. I think I just take the priest. The priest comes with 2 coins, and then I convert another power to a coin. The alternative is just take the coins, which is very good. But I think getting some more priests on the cult tracks is already worth it to me. I definitely want 1 priest on fire anyhow, and I think I can play a pretty culty game or like this round if I want to. So I'm going to take the priest power action. I wasn't even paying attention to the fact that Cultists might open double temple, but looking at their resources, I think Cultists taking 2 workers and going to second temple for fire 1 it would be very good this game. Because you get workers in round 2, you don't really need that many workers that early, and the track says it's totally fine to delay most of your dwellings a little bit this game. And so if you open double temple and take fire 1 here, now you have great priests and coin economy to hopefully afford a lot of shipping for these rounds. You get those extra couple workers next round, which will be great to be able to build lots of dwellings into this round. The only slight downside is you can't really use your spade, but I mean, you can just turn this brown and then build it next round because witches aren't going to mess with this. At least they shouldn't. I mean, there's always, some weak players that do things you don't expect, but the only downside is George is potentially looking at the fact that he has double dig here, and he might be thinking about taking the center and building this sanctuary town. I personally think that's a bit of a mistake, but some people really like to secure their town space. And this hex is a little contested. Witches might want it. Cultists kind of want it. Darklings probably want it now that I pay attention to. So actually there is kind of contention for this, but using all your power for double dig is not what I would do here. But I don't think it's actually that awful. But I actually really love the idea of taking the workers and building a second temple. I think it also really slows down Darklings on some level. And I think hurting Darklings a lot is very nice. If I was George, I would probably do that, but we'll see. Would feel weird not to build dwelling with spade. Yeah, so it's totally fine though. Like, you can just open double temple, and then next round you'll just have a dwelling spot that you get to build, and it's fine to just use that hex next round. Part of why I like double temple so much for cultists here is because Darkling started here. The only way for cultists to expand this game is going to be via shipping. Cultists need to basically get 2 ships so they can reach this hex, and then, as I've said plenty of time on this stream, after you have 2 shipping, you reach this hex, and suddenly you're here, here, here. And so I would have gone double temple. I don't really think George did the right thing here. Witches had a fast enough round that they got back onto temp ship, which I never would have predicted, but I'm much more a fan of their opening now that they got away with that. Darklings do get the workers. I'm definitely a bit bummed to see that, but because I want more Leech when Darklings upgrade next to me, I think it's fine to just go for the Sanctuary now. I'm not going to do anything fancy here. I'm just taking Fire 1 and Air 2 and being a very classic Chaos player. You love 2 shipping with most factions in this map. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, shipping is just great. So as cultist, I really don't think I would have just done what George did. I'm not even sure how he's going to follow this up. Maybe he was thinking he was going to get double dig into the next round, but Witches just passed in front of him, and maybe you're going to double dig. Witches could conceivably like dig this hex and this hex next round and try to build 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 dwellings, depending on what happens. Cultists do settle for just taking the center with their double dig now. I said before I didn't think that was as strong as just going double temple. I think it's fine, but I think it's suboptimal, but we'll see who's right and wrong about that in the future. It's certainly not that bad for cultists to have already secured this. Cultists definitely can consider beating us to a town now. I mean, my game plan was definitely to beat them to a town, so we'll see. Our game still is pretty good, pretty on track here. The priest, I'm definitely sending a priest to fire. So my question is, do I send this priest to fire? Or do I like lock up the priest to air that I kind of want to take? And then next round I send a priest to fire? And I don't totally have the answer to that. The thing is, I don't think I really need my priest next round. The main reason I'm like a little hesitant is because do I need to pay for shipping next round? But I think I just need a bridge next round, honestly. I would love this spade tile. Cultists have to pass. Darklings could take the spade. And it's actually a pretty good tile for Darklings in general, so they might. But Darklings might also take the coin's action before passing or something, which is also really reasonable for them. So if I could get the spade, that'd be pretty sweet. And then I just build a bridge next round and get 2 dwellings out or something. Would be pretty nice. I think I said the priest to air. I think priest to air is the right move. I followed up next round with priest to fire. I can delay shipping until later in the game. I mean, I do want to beat cultists to this hex in case cultists care about it, but I don't think cultists really care about this. I would like to beat witches to this, but I don't really have high hopes of that. So I think this is going to be a problem for me long term, but that's how it goes sometimes. Yeah, I'm going to send priest there. I mean, this is like super far off in the future and it's not going to benefit me much, but I'm partly just trying to win the air track. I guess I could just send the first priest to Earth because I could also just try to win Earth. But I mean, this is more power too, and I partly am doing this because it gets me good power return. So, oh, and it comes with coins. What was I talking about? I always had to send the priest off here. Sorry, this priest was always going to go to a cult track. But what do I think about Water 2 instead of Air 2? I think Water 2 is usually too fancy on Chaos Magicians, and I think it's usually wrong. That's what I think. But early shipping cultists can't use their faction ability often that well because of lack of neighbors. Yeah, so I agree with that. But I mean, one of the issues with cultists on this map is that you can't always have neighbors anyhow. Like, I mean, oh no, cultists are going to use their ability. Like, in order for cultists to even build an economy, they have to build, and their hexes are just not where they need them to be. I mean, they can keep trying to dig, but they're not really going to have neighbors up here. Maybe they'll have a neighbor here, but they're like never going to have neighbors up here. Probably. I mean, maybe eventually Darklings, but I think you're supposed to go early shipping cultists. I don't think all this power into digs is correct, but oh well. I'm hoping Darklings takes coins here. I think they have to be a little concerned that witches open next round with coins rather than digging more, because witches don't really need to dig. They have 3 hexes. So I'm hoping Darklings take coins, and then I can pass for the spade. That's by far the best outcome. Darklings would also get the big building tile then, because we would pass. So I think it's better for both of us if Darklings just takes the coins here. But we'll see. You like George's line? So the thing, okay, and Darkleeds does take the coins, as I just kind of predicted, because we'll pass for the spade now, and then Darkleeds get to pass for the big building tile that we're on, and everybody's happier. I'm not going to get any leech, so I can currently earn the 5 power I'm producing and just have a lot of power. I'm going to take the bridge probably as my first action next round. And I'm just passing here, right? Yeah, I'm just passing here. This spade is really good for us. This is definitely a nice smooth opening thus far. So George's line doesn't maximize early cult bonuses though, right? That's part of the trick of Double Temple. Double Temple allows you to build up, and you get cult bonuses when you build up. So that's part of the advantage of doing the thing. Like, it's still the same number of cult steps. If anything, it's actually one more cult step than George is potentially going to have, because, well, George might be building a sanctuary here for all I know. To be honest, if George builds a sanctuary, I think it's really wrong, but we'll see. But well, if he just went double temple and then turned this brown and then built this brown, I mean, that's still 5 cult steps. He's currently got 4 from everything he's done. So, like, the number of immediate cult steps is not different. This track is not actually very good for cultists to leverage economy off of anyhow. As long as cultists get a decent bit of fire usage, which they already have secured, and cultists, to be fair, could be 1 more step on fire if they just took fire 1. Which I think is also very good economy for them. So yeah, I don't know. I've made my opinion here clear. The coins did get taken first by witches. A little surprising given that they left us double dig. So now I have to decide if I want to call an audible here, because we are getting double dig this round. But I really wanted to send a priest to fire, but I guess I could just do it next round because it's only a difference of 1. And the reason I would call an audible here is because if I advance ship, I can double dig the witches green if they're not careful. But that's probably the wrong way to go about it. I probably should just bridge, build this, and if witches leave me the option to double dig, then I take it. Because stealing this hex on witches is actually quite strong for us, because it gets us over here much faster. It annoys witches. Mostly if we can beat witches to this hex, it's a big difference, though, this game. So yeah, I'm just going to take this bridge. I always need this bridge eventually anyhow, so... I'm just going to send this priest to fire, probably. There is some temptation to take the priest to water, just to get the 3-step, because I do want to contest cults this game. I potentially... going to be making a big town here next round and taking the 2-key town. The only issue is George might be debating racing us for the 2-key town by going for a sanctuary and 2 trading posts, but I can't stress enough how wrong I think that line would be, but we'll see. Darkleeds advances ship, which is really surprising to me. He's definitely building a sanctuary. There's just no doubt. But he does have 2 extra workers and enough coins. Maybe he's hoping to get a priest power action and still be able to eke out 2 dwellings in addition to the sanctuary. George does go for a sanctuary. I'm disappointed to see this because it's not what I wanted him to do, obviously. He does go fire 1 now. So this isn't that bad, and he might race us for cult stuff still, but we'll see. I'm building this dwelling in all worlds. Yeah, I don't know. Basically, the problem is that I think if George actually races us for the 2-key town, he's going to build a bunch of trading posts that don't score on the pass and don't score during the rounds after he already just took fire 1. So I don't think he's actually racing us for a town unless he's going to build a bridge and build like this mega sanctuary dwelling town like we are. But we'll see. We'll see exactly what it is. Witches still haven't sent their priest anywhere, so I could consider to send my priest to water and assume I wheel a priest power action, but I'm not sure. Darkleed's tile here is also going to be really interesting. A lot of times in this position, I would take Earth. I would still just take like Earth 2 as Darkleeds. And then I would aim to build a temple next round for Water 1. and get to that 3 times priest production really early. But one of the difficulties for Darklings, and one of the difficulties always in this starting spot is like, I mean, Darklings actually are probably trying to get to this hex, I suppose, and then maybe this hex, beating witches here would be pretty good. But like, I do think witches might just take double dig now. So, I mean, this is looking pretty ugly for Darklings. It's why I still didn't really understand. I mean, it's not that ugly for Darklings. Darklings have a good economy. They're Darklings, but the fact that you're building what's guaranteed to not be a town now, because you're already cut off, and your future expansion as Darklings is a little iffy. Like, I don't know. We'll see. I will admit our future expansion's a bit tough. We have this line of stuff, but from there we really need a shit ton of shipping to make it anywhere. And even then, I'm not totally sure we're gonna get a late town. There's maybe a late town up in here somewhere, but it's a little ugly and it's not super easy. This is by far the best town, but this hex is in no way, ours. So we'll see how it plays out. Darklings does go for Earth 2, though. I do. I'll give him credit for that. I really like that. He has just enough power now to take the priest power action, and then he would be able to dig and build another dwelling, or dig here and build another dwelling. I'm still not really sure why he paid for the shipping. I'm assuming he thinks he's going to get a priest or something, but Witches still has enough to just double dig. I'm curious if they're now planning to dig this hex and this hex or something. Maybe witches don't think there's much pressure on this hex, but I think there is. Cultists are already up to step 8 to fire. That part's nice for them. I think I do take the priest here, although it's a bit iffy, right? But the problem is Darklings want the priest, so the question is how good is it for me? I kind of like the priest, though. I'm not going to lie. Like, even if I don't get priest to water here, I could just send like another priest to air or something to like. Well, I can't really use another priest unless I get to send it to water. So the question is, will witches continue to just not send their priest to water? I mean, the answer appears to be yes. Do I need to worry about Darklings? I keep kind of saying I don't, but I mean, I kind of do. You have to watch out for Darklings exploding too much. And if Darklings gets out 2 more dwellings, which I don't really see how they can. If we take the priest, we're going to have a pretty slow round here, so I don't totally know what we're going to get the pass for. It also might somewhat mess up our tempo in terms of beating cultists next round to their town, but I guess cultists are always going to pass in front of us. We have too much to do anyhow. Yeah, I'll take another priest. I think it's fine. I'm really hoping to get priest to water. Darklings does just pass after we took their priest. Makes sense. They go for the dwelling tile. I mean, Darklings are almost certainly now going to dig and build this. They're going to like dig and build this. Wow, witches do send a priest to water. Gosh, this guy's a little unpredictable, which is a bit frustrating because it looked like he didn't care about that, and now all of a sudden he does. But oh well, that happens. It's not the biggest blow, but it's definitely a little sad. I'm not totally sure that priest was worth it for us now. I could, I guess, send priest to fire and another priest to fire, and then presume that I'm going to beat cultists to the 2 key town next round and close out fire before they do, but that's a lot of fighting for my preference. But I mean, I guess 2 priests to fire is still not that crazy, especially if I think I'm going to get 4 coins in a cult step, which maybe I do. I mean, witches are still going to. I mean, if I'm witches, I'm building 3 more dwellings still, right? Like, you double dig and you just get all your dwellings out. I mean, it's a little awkward because you're building all your dwellings before the dwelling round. Yeah, I don't know. Cultists do just pass, though. Curious what they take. Like, they might take this because it's 4 points, but I don't know. Again, I'm really curious what cultist plan is. Are they going to race us to the 2 key town? Like, I get that cultists want to compete on the cults, but I think if cultists build up to 2 key town next round when they could be building a lot of worker economy, it just doesn't seem that congruent of a plan to me, but 2 key town's valuable, so you never know what people will do, but Cultist passes for a priest. So the upshot of that move suggests to me that cultists are going to go for the ship plan, because the only reason they should really want a priest is if they're trying to get to 2 shipping. So Darklings can't currently grab the coins. So I think George's plan is to take the coins power action, advance ship twice, and build some dwellings, which is what I wanted him to do. So I think we are going to get to 2 key town. So that's good news. Because then I can play pretty culty. Looks like a pretty big time game here. Yeah, this is a pretty sweet game. We wound up with some very strong opponents. I still think Darklings were a bit overbid, but I mean, points wise, I guess they're not. They're not looking that bad. Which is what Darklings do best. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious what witches do here still. Witches are just building more dwellings. I would expect them to eventually double dig, but they just keep not double digging. So don't know what they're up to. I'm going to definitely send 1 priest to fire. That's always happening. And then this next priest, I mean, I took the priest power action. I definitely could send it to fire and get an extra worker right away, which is tempting, but it's not, I don't know, it's not that great. And I could just pass for 4 more points here. But the 4 coins at a cult step is also pretty tempting to me, because I could send priest to fire, pass for this guy, win the race to 2 key town, close out fire next round is another temptation. So I don't know. I don't usually love racing that hard for 2 key town, but I think it's probably a pretty good play here. I just don't totally know where the points are going to come as cast this game. It's a little rough. It's not awful, but okay, we do finally see double dig out of witches. It is here. If it's not here, that's going to be surprising. It is here, though. So I think witches are always going to beat us to this hex. Witches don't build, though. Huh, so that suggests witches are about to pass, I think, and save these dwellings for next round. Or they just really want our tile because they want our spade, which maybe. Sending the priest to fire is only like super good if some things happen, but it's still probably the right play. Gosh, I mean, we eventually really need to ship too in order to reach more hexes. We're pretty trapped in. Blech, I don't know. Not sure this is the right move, but it can't be that bad. We currently produce 5 power again. I'm not getting any immediate leech. I don't think the start of the round sees any more leech either. I think George is saying hey now. Yeah. I'm a little hesitant about that because it might encourage George to skip what I think he's doing, but I think he has to take coins, and I think we're just 2 steps away from a town. And if he takes coins, he's also at least 2 steps away, so that would be 3 moves. So I think we have tempo. I'm pretty sure we have tempo on beating cultists to the 2 key town. And then if I'm gonna win the race to 2 key town, like I think this is fine. So now we actually have a kind of tough choice, but I think it is 4 coins in a cult step. I need some more coins this game than I currently have. I mean, I'm about to use a ton of powers coins, but that's okay. But the free cult step is actually kind of the big boon here because it lets me cult step to close fire rather than having to spend a priest. And I think I currently need to save my priest so I can focus on advancing ship in round 4. Again, I don't think I'm overproducing power here, so I'm just going to pass for that cult step. This next round, we would prefer to really be careful about our power management because we're presuming to have 8 power income from the cults, plus we're hoping to have, we still have our own power, so like we're going to be able to produce 13 power, and we can only at best produce 16. So we're going to really try to end the round with all of our power kind of exhausted. So we'll see if we manage that. I'm expecting witches to take the spade, although they don't super need it, but witches are having a very good game as expected, and I don't even know if they've necessarily done exactly the best thing or the right thing, so I probably should have just been playing witches. Obviously, I love playing witches, and they are doing very well, but it's okay. We're actually having quite a good game, too, the more I think about it. There's even an argument that with all these resources, I potentially do just build a... I'm going to build 2 dwellings here, but I might just build a temple this round and scoop up a copy of Water 1 while I can. I might take like Water 1, Water 2 this round and play high cults, plus I lock up favor tile points, and then later I can take an Air 1. Producing 2 priests around is a little much, but it wouldn't be awful here because I do still think I need to ship in order to expand a bit more. But I mean, honestly, looking at this table in this game, I'm not really sure we're playing for network as chaos. This is where I could single dig or I could hard dig. Hard digging does mean that I'm not going the temple route, but single digging's not super necessary, but I guess I'm about to have a shit ton of power. I'm going to take a 2 key town. That's going to, well, I guess the 2 key town itself is only 4 power, but it's going to be 7 power right back, plus wherever I keep sending priests. Yeah, I should probably just single dig. Not double digging is a shame, but I just don't have any other hex that's worth worrying about. So single dig again it is. Or not again, we haven't actually had to power to a spade yet. But yeah, I'm about to have so much power, and I actually have pretty good coins. Things are pretty good over here. Don't you worry, you're going to forget about the power call. I won't. I still refuse to put on income display. Yeah, I don't like the income display, but... So again, the reason I don't like the income display is just it doesn't replicate playing in person, and I still largely play these as if I'm like playing people in person. Like, I don't like things that change that dynamic. So cultists are upgrading shipping. As I said, that was pretty obvious, I think. So we're just going to take the 2 key town here. We can take all the power. 2 key town is ours. We're definitely going to wind up closing out fire. Our only other action this round might be close out fire and then pass for this big building tile. Because then we would get to take a coins power action at the start of next round, and that would make me pretty happy. I think the game plan this game is to try to win air cult and fire cult, and then just pick up 2nd or 3rd places. The more I talked about the whole water plan, trying to win all the cults is still a bit rough, especially when it's not even clear we're going to get another key this game. I mean, I really should figure out how to get another town, but like it's far from obvious how that's going to happen. So, going to close out the fire track though. Beating George on that's mandatory. Yeah. What if I take fire 3? I mean, I was going to snag fire from cultists, but sorry, so I might not have been clear. The plan this round was always to finish our town here by building 2 more dwellings. It's the dwelling round. It gave us points. We get the 2 key town, which let us get up to step 9, and then I took this pass tile explicitly to get to the 10 steps. So I did steal fire on cultists. Taking fire 3 would have been way too iffy. Building another temple here is fine. Going temple for water 1, water 2 would be viable, but I think I'm just going to build a temple next round. I mean, what I think I really need are coins now. I need coins because I want to advance ship. I would like to get up to this hex. I'd like to get over here eventually. I mean, the problem is our hexes are like 3 jumps away. Actually, we really need 3 shipping, to be honest, to reach here, 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 here. We don't really have good town space, which is we're always going to take that hex. I should realize there's no town space here. There's just no town space. So passing for a guaranteed 4 points and a coins power action feels pretty correct to me. there's not much to do here. These priests I kind of need for shipping more than I need them on the cults now. I'm getting a shit ton of power, as I said, so I can convert all these into coins anyhow, and then I'm going to have a ton more power, and I convert more of them into coins. All of that I actually feel pretty good about. This gives me even more workers and coins. Yeah, I feel good about that. The only thing I can do here is build a temple, and that's just going to slow me down a lot, and I think just locking in 4 points and a coins action is very good. Our opponents might still all have actions left, but so what? I don't actually have anything great to be doing here. Oh, I also forgot. I actually could consider, I could consider one other thing this game too, and I might in a sec. I'll bring that up after I pass here. The other thing I could consider is this. It's somewhat rare, but it's not that crazy to be in this position where advancing dig is chaos might be the play this game. Advancing dig does give us some better outside shots at forming towns. The only real issue is that we're so trapped in, we kind of need to advance ship to reach any new territory, but there is a little outside shot of an advance. You advance dig twice and you steal this hex and then like this hex, and try to ship over here. The problem is Cultist probably beats us into here, so it might not work. But like you could even advance ship and advance dig twice and try to like carve up through here. I mean, this is a double dig, a triple dig, but still, like 6 digs for a possible town spot isn't off. But I remember the fire call. Yeah, look at that, George. Congratulations. But yeah, you could advance shipping. Expansion with good econ should be enough for dig ups and carving out of town somewhere. It is advanced digging. Yeah, you just told me that. Digged. Yeah, thanks, Super. With dig advancing, that northwest continent seems doable. Has neighbors. Yeah, so advanced digging up in here also seems doable. Again, the biggest issue now is actually the priest supply. I only have 2 priests. If I could somehow in a magic world like ship twice and dig twice next round, then we're talking. But I think next round, the more I look at it, I think next round is the shipping round. I ship a bunch, I still build some dwellings, and then we might consider dig advancing ahead of the town round though. Because it still might be right to try to dig advance this game in order to carve out town space. So we'll see. Sending a priest to the water track in order to get a priest back is also a little tempting next round, but I don't know. We have a lot of options. We're going to have so much. What about water 1? Yeah, exactly. That's the other problem. I think the dig advancing line kind of relies on taking so many workers that I'm not sure building a temple is a great plan, and so it might... Darklings do get enough priests to dig that. So Darklings are definitely aiming for a town here. Although Cultists maybe were still eyeing up some of this, but Darklings are definitely going to come through here. Darklings are definitely aiming for a town in here. And depending on how many digs they get, Darklings maybe is eyeing up some other bullshit, not sure. But Witches did just get cut off, so Witches are stuck over here, which is fine. Cultists are going to come here, so Witches still have 3 towns. Witches did not take a bridge yet, and they're pretty low on coins though. It does, and they're really low on points. Oh, because they went for another temple for Water 1. Ugh. So Witches honestly just threw their game away on Water 1. They've completely misordered. Ugh. People, part of the reason I've been Witches so much is because it pains me so much to watch people throw away like such good Witches games on such badness. But oh well. Why not advance ship and take temp ship? Yeah, so taking temp ship was reasonable, but I didn't take temp ship, so... I take coins, priest, and ship 3 times next round. Yeah, that's very much the plan currently. The hope is that I'm opening coins and then I'm hoping to wheel priest and I'm going to advance ship 3 times next round is my thought. I don't think anybody's going to block these red hexes on us. That's the only concern about that plan. But it doesn't look like cultists are trying to dig a town up here. You know, cultists are presumably trying to get a town through here or something, and they got to already fight darklings for this hex. Cultists maybe want a town up in here or something too. Maybe cultists even want this sort of town or something. I just don't see any reason for cultists to want this hex, but this is the biggest concern about that plan. So we'll see. But yeah, I think the plan is to advance ship a bunch next round and build a bunch of dwellings. It's pretty good points. It's a shame that there's no ship scoring pass in the game, but that's just how it is sometimes, right? So cultists have wound up a bit coin short. It's not awful, but they'd really like to at least build it. They have to build this dwelling, right? They can't let darklings have this hex. This is although this gives darklings a neighbor for their town, so I don't know. But I think cultists need to just eke out another dwelling. Well, I guess cultists can delay most of the dwellings till next round. Cultists are getting this past now, so things are pretty good for cultists. And cultist does take that hex over securing this one. It's a little interesting to me because this hex gets cultist to 2 hexes, but maybe cultist is really worried about this stretch. I don't know. Cultists and darklings are definitely going to get in their way a bit, it looks like, or get in each other's way, so we'll see how that resolves too. We're taking coins, and we have a shit ton of resources. It's a classic me game, and hopefully we can turn them into points. I will take another priest on the wheel, because, yeah, he might not want to give darklings neighbor. Yeah, I agree. The more I looked at it, maybe he does just want darklings, and he's just not going to give darklings a neighbor up here, and maybe that's more painful, but I'm kind of unconvinced. And as we argued earlier, like, one of the cultist ability is to build next to people, right? So not giving them neighbors is always a little interesting, but we'll see. Hopefully Darklings don't take our priest. Yeah, I think Darklings needs to keep using power as coins currently, but they wouldn't mind having more priests. With the fact that witches took water 1, there is also this water 1 kind of detente going on here of who cares about it, and the answer is we all kind of care about it, but who wants to rush it? And that answer is probably nobody. It does look like darklings are just going to race for these hexes, because cultists, I think, still did want kind of this stretch of stuff. So we will accept 2-for-1 leeches. We're very happy to have some more power still, I think. So just looking at people's situations, it's mostly cultists that I'm curious about if they really want to dig anywhere this round. And again, I just can't imagine it's this hex. I don't even think we're in that strong of a position that cultists should feel compelled to block us, because, I mean, we're not going to have late towns and stuff. The more I think about it, I don't even totally know if shipping a bunch and building a ton of dwellings is the play this round, because, like, not having water 1 is a little rough, but I can always just build a lot of trading posts next round during the trading post round. The only issue is I'm not sure enough of them are where things need to go, but cultists hard digs, which suggests they don't care much about this stuff. Cultists also presumably are going to beat darklings to this, so this looks like a lovely clusterfuck for them. And sorry for the swear, but that's really the only term that sums up the messiness of that situation. I still need priests. I don't see any way around it. I need to think about shipping and digs and other stuff. If I am going to ship advance, that's going to be 12 of our coins. And then if I do wind up building 4 dwellings, that's another 8 coins, so that would be 20 coins. So I wouldn't really have enough to build a temple, but I might build a trading post this round, just because a little bit of coin economy is not bad, and that trading post at least will give us options to threaten to steal water 1 at the start of next round. I'm thinking, though, that both darklings and cultists, I think we're all going to delay securing water 1 until next round, but I'm not sure. I do expect darklings are still going to take this hex and dare cultists to actually take this one, but we'll see. Having a trading post gives tempo on water 1. Yeah, exactly. So I think I might build a trading post. It's a little tricky for me to figure out exactly how I want to play this endgame out, because I want to get one more town, but I don't see where it goes. I mean, I guess the only other option is I actually ship 3 this round, and if witches don't secure this hex, I can totally hard dig this hex. This would actually be a huge boon to get through here, because I might even be able to get the bridge and just like, yeah, this would actually be a huge break if witches doesn't protect this hex. I mean, witches should protect this hex. Ooh, Darklings does settle for the bridge. I mean, Cultist needs a bridge still. Witches need a bridge still. We just talked about a bridge, although, I mean, looking at it a bit more, I'm pretty willing to not get this bridge and just I can always dig this hex and then somehow make one of these hexes happen because Darklings can't get there once we take this away from them. And I could at least have town space here plus trading posts where I want them. So this hex I think still does look pretty good for me. Cultists is going to build next to us. Free power is nice, but I don't really need power for anything. And cultists are our main cult competition, right? I mean, they're going to be problems still this game. So I think declining's the right move, as much as that pains me. But witches would be insane not to hard dig that. Yeah, I mean, like, look, I agree. Witches absolutely should secure this. My only hope is that witches aren't going to pay enough attention to what we're doing, and that if they might pass before they secure this, and that it would just be a mistake. And they're kind of mediocrely rated, so they're capable of mistakes. So we'll see. That was a perfectly good power I offered you. Darklings has some real issues with coins. Darklings does send a priest to water. That's really interesting to me. Darklings... This suggests to me that Darklings are taking water 1 this round, because the only reason to send that priest is if you're getting a priest back. So I think Darklings are going to rush water 1, but they don't have the coins, in my opinion, to justify going for water 1. It looks like one of those situations, like, part of the weirdness of going for water 1 this round is that you're losing 3 points on building the trading post next round. I get that Darklings will earn another priest, and I mean, now the step on water 1 gets Darklings a priest too, so like, I get it, but I don't know. Cultists are going to get this hex too, which is actually really surprising. How are Darklings allowing Cultists to take this? Or do Cultists just not have a dwell? Oh, Cultists don't have a dwelling currently. That makes way more sense. I was like, Darklings need this hex, right? Like, Darklings can't... I mean, Darklings are definitely towning through here. There is a real hell of a bridge fight currently. There's only 2 bridges left in the game, and witches still need one. Cultists need one. I'm still talking about one. Darklings still would not mind just taking one to mess with people. So yeah, that'll be an interesting thing. Cultists do have kept enough power this whole round that they could like double dig just to hurt us, but they can't even build on it, so I can't imagine they do anything here. I'm not really sure why Cultists are holding all this power. I'm thinking that Cultists are about to pass. Oh, interesting. They sent a priest on air. That's fine. It doesn't impact us. We just keep shipping. Our next move is going to be build this dwelling. I'm really actually hoping that witches just stupidly pass and don't secure this hex. Witches did just build their last dwelling, so I mean, witches can't even build this currently. They certainly can hard dig it, which will dissuade me a lot, but I'm not actually sure it would dissuade me enough. So we'll see. This hex would be big for us, not just because it blocks witches. Not that I need to block witches, I don't think, but I will accept this power. I'm willing to take 3 for 2, I think. I still have need for resources this game. I'm still doing well enough, so... but I can build this dwelling, then I can advance ship again, build this dwelling, and hard dig this if I'm allowed to. If I get through on this section, the other big benefit to this hex is reaching these 2 reds. Reaching these two reds gives me outside options on fighting for network still, because Witch's network isn't looking that incredible anymore now that they were cut off of all the rest of their free green hexes. Every Witch's hex from here on out requires digs, and Witches don't have many digs beyond one that are visible. So I mean they've built an incredible amount of stuff already, right? But like it's not wild for us to contest Witches on network somewhat here this game. Yeah, I don't know. Things are looking pretty good for us still. It certainly could be worse. Not having a lot of priests is a bit of a bummer because I'm sinking so many priests into shipping this round. But I also really do want to keep sinking priests into the cults because the Earth cult is still pretty contested, and I really do want to get one more priest in the air so that it's super easy to lock it out. If somehow like witches and cultists each send a priest to air, now it's kind of messy. So I'd like to avoid that. Cultist does just pass. That's what I figured. They did get 8 points. They're already at a lot of points. I mean, they're doing very well. They're going to get to open next round with the coins power action. I definitely can't pass. I have too much to do this round. But that's okay. We'll get a decent number of points. We're passing for a bit. We're going to have a nice economy. Our coin situation is actually going to be a bit of an issue again, but when are coins not, kind of an issue in this game? So we'll see. Things look pretty good, especially if witches would just pass here to take this points tile, which I don't think is that nutso for them. I mean, witches' real issue is they have no coins either. I mean, witches have 1 million workers and produce 1 million workers, but they just have no coins. But they do pass for that. Glorious. This hex is ours. I mean, we're not going to get blocked from this. We're going to stall out long enough, I think, that there's no way that Darklings are getting this. I still think Darklings are building a temple for Water 1. I don't understand this priest move if you're not going to go Water 1. Like, this priest is maybe some cult points, but yeah, I mean, they build a trading post. They have enough, but converting that many workers in order to build a temple. I mean, I guess they have 1 million workers, so, but George is saying that's a nice break. Yeah, I mean, Witches letting us have this is a big break in the game for sure. And George already knows that we're going for it because he's a good player, so. But yeah, that was pretty big. They might open with a bridge. Yeah, actually, that's true. George might not take the coins to open next round. He might need to take the bridge, especially with us on this hex. Like, I might bridge to this just for like this town. I mean, the other option is that we still could advance dig this game. I mean, Darklings did decide to just go for Water 1. I mean, the other option is if I'm on this hex, I could try to carve out a town here and a town in here still. So we'll see. I don't totally know what I'm going to do. I also have like way too many workers. But using too many workers in order to hard dig, in order to set up town space is totally fine. So we'll see. He doesn't have to take Water 1 this turn, does he? I mean, he doesn't have to, but it comes with an extra priest. But using all those workers for coins is a bit painful. But I mean, all he has is workers. He also doesn't have very good coins. So like, I guess it's fine, but I don't really like his Water 1 grabs. I don't honestly really like what he's been doing in this game, but I mean, he's setting up a decent number of points, so I can't hate it that bad, right? But I will admit I'm a bit surprised by his high rating because what he's doing just doesn't fully jive with what I think he probably should be. But I guess he's going to get most of his trading posts out, and that's going to be a crap ton of points. And he will get 2 towns. Like, I don't know. He is still going to earn a lot of points this game, so his path can't be that bad. I hard dig this clearly, right? Yeah, there's no world where I don't. I'm going to make a trading post. It probably goes here. I don't expect to get a lot of leech, but I want a trading post down. I can build 2 more dwellings here, although I don't really have the coins for it, but I could use some workers as coins. The other option is to just secure this hex, actually, which is maybe the right play. I'm already going to have 2 cult spades, too, so maybe I should just, bridges are really annoying, right? Why not just angle for this town? This hex is really under no threat, and while it's a triple dig, I can produce a triple dig. The bigger issue, I guess, is getting this hex and this hex. This would still be... This is asking for 4, 5, 6, 7 more spades this game, which is a lot, but might be doable. Plus, there's always network aspirations otherwise. We have a lot of hexes still, so... I think I do just take this hex, though. I think it's the right play. I mean, we are remarkably like out of workers after doing all this, but I think this is totally fine. I could pass for a spade here too and just have another spade. Not that I really need them, but kind of do, I guess, if I'm gonna go super crazy. It might be right to pass for the priest, just because another priest occult is good, but if I really am attempting 2 more towns, which I kind of want to, but it might be too greedy, I'm not sure. The spade is the best. I would send a priest to air next round. I have tempo on cultist on locking up water 1 next round too if I want it, which I kind of do, but my coins are pretty bad, so like part of my instincts are to just build more trading posts, but I probably should just tempo for water 1, air 1. That would let me close out air cult completely next round. I think the spade is still the right play. The spade gives me flexibility on town options. Plus it comes with 2 coins. The priest is just a priest, and it doesn't do me much besides maybe fight Earth, but not even sure how hard I should fight Earth. I do produce at least a decent bit of power. So I will have I have more coins than I think, because I do have all my power for coins. And I'm going to get a lot of power in this round, actually, because Darklings are going to repeatedly build next to me. Witches will build next to me a little. Cultist maybe still comes over here. Although Cultist might also delay building this thing just to delay a neighbor, but I think Witches need this hex now. Witches might also want this hex now that I think about it, or maybe Witches take this hex. Witches are kind of hemmed in. This is messy. I have to really think about this. Everybody has a lot of pressure on their hexes. And there's a lot of bridge pressure. George really probably does need to take the bridge here instead of the coins, which means we get the coins. Oh, that would be huge. Oh my god. Does anyone else need a bridge? Given that he's asking that, I'm guessing he's going to open with bridge, but yeah, and he does. So we're going to get the coins power action, unless somehow Witches feeds it to Darklings, but we might get the coins. That would be such a break. That would be awesome. 2 more towns involves advancing dig. It does not, but it's tough. You think Darklings are kind of desperate for points instead of Earth 1? Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Darklings kind of did need Water 1, but oof, I don't know. Priest to air just went, but I have to take the coins. But we might get blocked out of the air track like I was fearing, which is a bit unfortunate. But coins is such a break here. Now, in terms of talking about 2 more towns, it currently involves 3 spades, 4, 5, 6 spades. I have 2 on the track and 1 in hand, so I would need to generate 3 more. Generating 3 more without advancing dig is totally doable. I have probably enough to hard dig at least once, if not twice more this game, and so that involves just taking a single dig or a double dig action. The bigger problem involves actually getting this hex, because witches want this hex now. So 2 more towns maybe is too much. I maybe should focus on just making this town here. And hoping that this is a town might be too much. It might be correct to just aim for 1 more town in the town round, which isn't great, but 1 town in the town round isn't that bad. And then I hope to still play for network. I still have some reds for network that I can take. I actually have a lot of reds left, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 visible, and I have 2 digs coming in. 4 visible and 2 digs is like way more shit than I'm going to build, so... But we take the coins always. Coins are way too good. It's a big break for us. Assorted Needles goes up the water track so that, yeah, people were fighting for the coins there is essentially what's happening. Cultists could now go for a Temple for Water 1, but I think the correct play for me is Temple, Water 1, Air 1. That's a lot of points to just take Water 1, Air 1 and build a bunch of trading posts. I can't really build a trading post in the right spot. Witches does, unfortunately, take the other priest to air spot. So we did get cut off of this, which is annoying. It does mean that I want to send a priest to the earth track pretty badly. And And we might just get beat on air track depending on how hard Witches fights it. But if Witches fights it too hard, well, I think they're just hurting themselves. So Darklings are building next to us. Darklings might finish a town this round for a coin town. I'm not totally sure. Darklings still have no neighbor in the north. Like, there's a lot of awkwardness for so many people here. But I think this has to be Temple for Water 1, Air 1. Those are such good victory point favors, and they're both there. So yeah, I don't see a reason not to. I could probably backfill like almost all my trading posts this round, and building like at least 3 more trading posts is then 18 more points, plus some good pass points. I don't think they can both be part of towns, so I think I probably will be I probably do just need to settle for 2 towns, as much as the 3-town dream calls to me always. But Water 1, Air 1 looks too correct here. Because yeah, I still have the resources to easily build 3 trading posts, and I could debate building the 4th trading post, but I think I'm going to aim to build 3 trading posts and then backfill a couple of dwellings. I'm probably just building this town, as I've said kind of repeatedly. I think I'm just taking 1 more town. I don't need the bridge to make it at least, which is nice. I could debate building this dwelling pretty quickly here too. Building this dwelling is kind of important because witches might just take this hex in order to set up for their towns. I'm not really sure, but this hex is under some threat. This hex really isn't under threat from any of our opponents, and these ones aren't really under any threat. So I might actually just go build this dwelling next. It looks like witches might just be settling for a sanctuary town here at this point. I don't really know. I mean, their game's very off track is the upshot. Cultist does build up here finally, which is very interesting. They're not building this one yet. I would have thought Cultist would come here. Going there is very intriguing because that helps Darklings out a lot on where they want to put neighbors. Darklings are going to get all their trading posts out. There's a pastel hanging out, but we can't use it. I think I am building this. I don't think there's any reason to build all 4 trading posts this round, really. I think aiming for 3 trading posts and 1 or 2 dwellings is the right way to use our workers. And this hex is under threat, and I think playing for network is viable here. I mean, Cultists probably win network, but I'm not sure witches win network anymore because they just don't have the resources to build up all that well. And I'm not totally sure Darklings are going to win network either. So there's a real network fight, and we're competitive for it. Because I can fairly easily get all these trading posts and all these dwellings out, which leaves me with 3 structures on board. I guess Darklings maybe finds a way to get down to 2 structures on board, as does Cultists, but I don't see a good reason to throw away a free red hex yet and give up on that dream, so... Where to put the cult spades is going to be an interesting battle because I kind of want to dig this hex. Like, I'm going to probably dig this hex with my passing spade this round, which means I kind of want to use my cult spades here. But using my cult spades here is probably wrong because if I turn this red, witches might just take it. Plus, Darklings can mess with it. So I might wind up just turning this yellow or something and then having to hard dig it. But we'll see. Cultists are giving us a free power again. I'm guessing Darklings might accept it. It's probably Cultists are only really competing on Earth. Yeah, Darklings did accept, so... I probably would have accepted that one, assuming Darklings would accept, but I don't know. Anyhow, sorry. I should finally catch up on chat. Witches really hope to get the coins when he threatens you on air. Yeah, I mean, the coins was way too easy. I think 1 more town is much better. Interesting. So you think you would go for temples or towns here over Water 1, Air 3 temple? Oh god. Okay, so I should slow down, everybody. I fight cults way less hard than like any other expert. Maybe not every other expert, but I fight cults way less hard than most people. Air 3 never crossed my mind. It might have been correct, but I kind of doubt it. If witches want to steal air on me, so what? They're not my competitors, so that's a 4-point... That's going to be a 4-point favor, whereas Air 1 is going to be a 6 or 7-point favor. I mean, I just want more points, right? Like, that was an easy call for me, luckily. I definitely am going to build a trading post here. You meant Air 1, not Air 3? Okay, Air 1 wants to play here. You knew that. Okay, that makes way more sense. Okay, sorry for chastising you, and we agreed on the play. Anyhow, Darklings have built most of their trading posts. I'm actually assuming Darklings are going to pass for this and a coin's power action pretty shortly, which makes sense. I mean, Darklings have at least found a decent path to points. Darklings might actually take the bridge at the start of next round too, just to annoy people. I'm not totally sure. I guess Witches look like they have totally given up on bridge. I mean, this is clearly a sanctuary town now, it looks like. And then I don't even know if Witches are getting this town. I mean, they should. They can easily hard dig this, but we'll see. Darklings needs to spend priests. Oh, so they can't pass yet. I see. Yeah, Darklings are producing too much. Curious what hex Darklings are taking. Probably this one, so they can build a trading post there too and threaten a town. No, I guess Darklings actually probably take this hex. I don't know. I mean, I can mess with Darklings towns too. I haven't been paying attention to that. I can take either of these hexes on Darklings right now. I don't really think I have the ability to be offensive against Darklings though, but like it is interesting. Yeah, Darklings are taking this hex. I mean, they want this one still. I could pretty easily take this hex on them if I'm concerned about them, and I am concerned, but I don't really have the power to mess with them. I might just put a trading post here. I mean, putting a trading post here is pretty much waving the flag on any two-town dreams, but I just am not getting the neighbors for this town. I continue to think Witches have to build here eventually, and then I could build trading posts here, but they're not actually doing that, so I think just throwing a trading post up here is fine. This helps maximize a bit of leech as Darklings and others build next to me. At the same time, I could just build this dwelling and expect Witches to come here and then build 2 trading posts and leave myself flexible. Except I don't really want to build this dwelling necessarily that much. Yeah, I'm going to just throw a random trading post over here. I don't love it, but I think it's the right play. Yeah, I don't know. Not in love with options here, but Witches will probably use their airspace on that hex. Oh, that makes more sense. Witches are the sort of player that's they're gonna just save all their workers for God knows what, and use their cult digs on that hex. Yeah, you're probably right. It's okay. I kind of forgot Witches had those too. That's part of why Witches was fighting so hard for this cult. They're partly fighting for the reward, not to beat me. But that's fine. I don't really care. I should pay attention to the pass tile situation at this point. I really want to build... I should build one more trading post. I guess I shouldn't think about passing that much. But once I build the next trading post, it does look like some pass tiles are going to start being available. I mean, I probably can't give up the spade either. So I probably have too many things to do this round to get a pass tile. But wow, and cultists are going to pass first, which I think makes enough sense. They don't really have anything left to do. But the fact that they're going to get coins and or a bridge block option and Darklings aren't necessarily getting... Well, Darklings can hopefully try to outlast Witches. I'm not totally sure what Witches are going to be up to. Maybe they just build another trading post as well up here. Wow, they do. I mean, the thing is, if Witches wait to take this hex next round, how are they making a town here? Like, they need to build trading posts. Like, taking this hex now gives them a neighbor, but... Look, I'm not in charge of the game. Darklings are going to start slow playing, presumably, and take this hex away from me, which makes sense, before I would do anything to it. It looks pretty likely that Darklings are going to outlast Witches then in this stall game, but I don't know that for sure. I'm never building this town, so I think it's time to accept this town's not happening. The new question is, if I dig this hex to yellow, would Darklings dig it back and screw us? Yeah, probably. The thing is, I would really like to build the trading post just somehow with a neighbor over here, and this hex would be great. I mean, I guess I could double dig that hex, but I don't have enough for that. I'll dig and build this hex right now. It's fine. My next move probably is still one more trading post then. One more trading post brings me to 85. With arrow 1, I pass at 88. 88's not that great here, given that I only have one town next round, and my main competitors, being Darklings and Cultists, each have 2 towns coming in, which is a problem. But if we do decently well enough on Network and Cult, I don't know how big of a problem it's going to be. Now, Network and Cults are okay for us, but not great for us. So, don't know totally how to feel there. I can send Priest to Earth this round, and I definitely actually, more I pay attention, I probably could take the Priest power action and send another one to Earth. So maybe I steal Earth Track on Cultists. Stealing Earth Track on Cultists is fairly worth it to me, because Cultists are a big competitor. Darklings are going to pass for that tile, almost guaranteed, so I will have just uncontested rest of the round to go here. I think hoping for 2 towns is obviously way gone, as I've stated. I think playing for Network is still viable. I have 1, 2, 3 open reds, and I'm gonna wind up double digging. I probably double dig here. This is scary to me. This is very scary. I think I have to double dig this and accept that I'm hard digging, but that's probably okay. Yeah, I actually have a lot of leftover resources, I think. So I think it's okay. I can produce 2 priests. I don't really need them except for advanced digging, so I may as well send them to cults. This is the only cult worth fighting. So I send a priest to Earth here. And then do I have enough to take a priest and still build the trading post? I do, so I may as well. I may as well steal Earth Cult. Like, I don't see why not. I'm gonna get this past tile anyhow, so closing out Earth's gonna be easy. I don't think there's any real way that cultists close out Earth Track first move. I mean, the only real way is if they take Temple for Fire 2, they make 2 towns, they take both 8-pointers, and they get an accepted leech, which all could happen, but may as well force them, I guess, to pass on coins or something in order to try for that. Yeah, that's fine. The final trading post can just be a kind of random guy. I'm going to probably put it here. Well, that gives a free power to witches. That doesn't make sense. I guess I could actually throw it up here. Sure, I'll throw it up here. I don't really want to give Darklings any more help, and I may as well give witches more help if I'm building next to anybody. I might have to build an expensive trading post next round in order to make the town, which not ideal, but it's fine. I want to build a trading post in 3 dwellings next round. That's all I really need to do. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 workers, and then I'm talking about doing an extra to be safe. I'm talking about digging here. I think I'm still gonna do that, even though I think Darklings have to dig this. I think if I turn this red, God, I don't know. I'm so paranoid about turning that red. I feel like it's too risky. I don't think I can afford to do that. I think I just have to accept that I'm turning this yellow and that I'm hard digging it. So I have enough resources to do all that. There's no real conversions I can do here. I don't see how it's not just 4 coins on cult steps. So yeah. The only real decision are where these cult digs are going. And I think here is just the safest play. Again, the only reason I'm scared of this is simply the fact that Darklings could decide to double dig with all their priests and then dare us to mess back with them, and then we just all lose. I don't think that's a good play for any of us, so I'm not going to do it. I think I do just cult dig this. I mean, there's a chance I also get a bridge here, but I think I think my first action has to be to close out cultists before they do anything. So I don't know. We'll see. You would do the black? Yeah, I think so too. 13 workers. Wow. For witches? Yeah, they're probably, I don't know, but thought cults would build another trading post. Cultist going for another trading post probably made some sense, but I think Cultist passing and just getting a pass tile here. Cultists might actually be planning to just build their stronghold for one of their towns, and then build their stronghold and build a trading post to finish their towns or something for points. Because this is now an 11-point stronghold. I'd be pretty tempted by that. Network race is, like I say, very interesting though. Like Darklings are probably going to build 4 dwellings, right? But do they even have the hexes? I mean, that's part of the trick. Like, I think we actually might just win network, which would be huge. We, that did happen, which was expected. Cultist went up there. I think I do have to do this one. It's too risky to let others mess with me. So if I just turn this yellow, right? Yellow's great. I can hard dig it. It's going to be fine. Nobody can reach this either, which is one of the best things. I can leave it. I can leave it sit there, and I think I have too many tempo moves already on myself. Like I have to close this out pretty quickly. And so having to take this hex first action and stuff as well is putting too much pressure on myself. And I have enough resources that I can afford this without really too much complaints. I mean, my round is essentially build trading post and these dwellings, make a town while doing it. I just don't have time for much else. I'm hoping to win this. I'll win this track, and I'll probably just get a first, second, third on the cults. That's quite strong, especially if I'm winning network or tying for the win on network. So our game looks pretty on track and is pretty good. I don't entirely know if this is a win, but it's certainly competitive, I think. Again, the tough part is these guys both have pass tiles and they both have an extra town on us. So even though we have a bit of a points lead here, they're both going to probably be ahead of us going into the post game. And so I really have to hope that my combination of cults and network is enough here, but we'll see. Yeah, we need to crush them in the end game. I mean, crush them's a little far. I mean, so one upshot is that we still do have all of the scoring favors, whereas cultists are missing both water 1, air 1, and darklings are missing earth 1, air 1. So while I build stuff this round, I'm scoring more points than they are on some level than building stuff, although the cultists' stronghold certainly gives them some options. But I broadly am turning resources into points more efficiently than they are in terms of just purely the building aspect. They're going to get a lot because of their towns. But making up one town on each of them isn't the worst thing because I'm already about 10 ahead of each. And towns are about 15 here. So, I mean, that's not awful. And again, past tiles, it's not awful because I at least have air 1, whereas they don't really. But it's tough. I mean, Darklings with all these priests, it's tricky. I mean, the big upshot for me personally is, oof, this is Temple for Fire 1. I really hope Darklings decline this, but he accepts. Well, fuck. So I think George is going to go Fire 2 and take both the 8-pointers, and that he's going to beat us. Yeah, and he is. He takes Fire 2, which was expected, and he is going to just beat us on the Earth. That's really unfortunate for us. That definitely wasn't the plan. I think it's reasonable for him to do this, but I think it's a real bummer. The only upshot is we forced him to take Fire 2, which looks honestly, and take 8-point towns rather than even better towns, which looks a little questionable to me because I'm not convinced he can build 2 trading posts and 4 dwellings from here. And even if he does all that, he skips building the stronghold, which is pretty good for him. So, I don't know. That can't be the worst outcome. Witches do take a much needed coins action. There's a chance we just get a bridge, so I don't really need it. Darklings does take this hex, which makes enough sense. Darklings does leave me an option to mess with them a bit, but I don't think I'd take it. I think the new plan has to actually be to win air track. Cultists could build another temple for air track. I don't think they will, but I certainly don't want to build a temple to win air track. I don't want to build another temple this game. So I think the play here is to move up air track. Witches are not going to close air track in a single... Well, they could. Witches could also choose to take frickin' air 3 and make a town. If everybody does that, I think they're making... Honestly, I think they're kind of... Our opponents are making somewhat bad plays in order to lock up cult tracks rather than take better favor tiles. And cult tracks are points, though, so like I get it. But yeah, I'm just going to take this step on air here. I mean, cultists are going to wind up beating us on water now too, so I guess maybe the temple isn't as crazy as I think, but I don't super have the resources to justify it. Although I guess I do. just don't want to is really the problem. I just really do not want to. It's so antithetical to what. I just hate building temples to close out cult tracks. It's such inefficient path to points. It's so crummy. But our opponents are somewhat forcing us to, but I hate getting dragged into crummy actions. I'm not going to do it. It's a lot of resources still for the cultists. Yeah, I mean, he passed, so it's fine. You don't think cultists is going to build trading posts because they don't give points to the no network? I don't know. I think cultists are going to... I do think cultists are going to push network. He has lots of free brown hexes all over the place. And fighting for network is still very valuable. I mean, we'll see, but if I'm George, I'm absolutely building these 2 trading posts and building 4 dwellings. I mean, to be fair, if I was George, I would have completely given up this Earth track fight. I would have never cared. I think the Earth track, I honestly don't necessarily think it was great for him. If he fails to build a stronghold because of going for Fire 2 instead, I don't think this was worth it for him. But maybe he doesn't think Darklings are a threat and I was the only real threat, and so he thought he had to beat me. But I think asserting Darklings are not a threat would be pretty freaking crazy here. So, again, we'll see. But cultists have to be going for a 3rd town. Oh, that's why they went Fire 2? No. Oh my God, he is gonna take Air 3. George Shortwell, why are you a crazy man? Oh my God, he does. I hate those moves. I can't stress enough how bad. I think he's killing both of us. Like, and if Darklings wins this game, it's because George just played inefficient moves that hurt both me and him here. It's going to be my opinion. I mean, I'll have to analyze it more, but I really don't like those moves from George. Building 2 temples in order to secure cults, like, yeah, you're getting some cult victory points you weren't otherwise, but my God, dude, like, they're building temples are so inefficient. Like, it's throwing away 7 resources in order to get. I mean, it's a big swing, I guess, if you think I'm his only competition. But, like, my gosh, buddy. Like, maybe, I guess he could still fight network, too? Maybe he's just going to build, I don't know. I would not have done what he did, but... Oh, well, this is why I was supposed to whatever. Still trying for 2 towns this round. That's the reason for not going for the bridge. The reason I wasn't going for the bridge is because I was going for air track. I did not think anybody would close out air track. I think it's bad. To be honest, I maintain what George just did this round is bad. But, I mean, he has locked up a lot more cult points than he otherwise is getting. So maybe it's just me undervaluing cults and overvaluing network and other direct point sources. But I would normally not be building this many temples that don't do me a hell of a lot. I did like the theory that somebody just suggested that he was going to go for another town. I can totally see George going for another town up here, although that temple looks like too much for me, but maybe he can still double dig and build enough trading posts, but I'm not convinced, but we'll see. At this point, I could take the bridge, because now the bridge would save me from an expensive trading post. I don't think there's any possible world in which I can 2-town, because it just involves too much, so I may as well take the bridge. It just makes this smoother. I don't have to build an expensive trading post. I mean, expensive trading post versus bridge is basically the same thing, but I guess I'll take a bridge. Without that temple, you think he has enough coins to make a stronghold down? Yeah. You like his moves? I mean, to be fair, whatever. Some people love fighting cults, and I think it's to their own detriment, but some people just love building cults and repeatedly going for cults. So, whatever. I don't want George to move me on fire. He has to get the stronghold out, surely? I mean, he doesn't have to. You thought cultists were going for stronghold town in the northeast? Yeah, cultists going for the stronghold town up here does make enough sense for me for the Fire 2 play. I don't totally hate the Fire 2 play. The Temple Air 3 play, Yikes. I mean, witches just does not matter to George. So this was a pure swing of 8 points on me, which, like, I get. Maybe he thinks he needed 8 points on me, but I think we're undervaluing Darklings a bit, but maybe I'm overvaluing them. But Darklings have 2 more towns come in, and let's call them the priest towns, because at this point they probably, oh, he can't get both. I will take a priest town. But, I mean, Darkling still has priest town plus something, plus pretty good network score, because George isn't contesting network, it seems, or maybe he is. He did just build a dwelling, but I don't know. Whatever. We'll see how it goes. I mean, the stronghold is 11 points, Ghostly, but the stronghold does cost 12 resources. So I mean, it costs 4 resources or 4 points of resources. So it's okay, but like George building all these and fighting network is still probably more points than the stronghold, is my suspicion. But yeah, I don't know. I probably should stop accepting 2-for-1s. I tend to just always accept them, but I don't really see what they do anymore. The only way that it's worth it is if I somehow am like building a temple, but I'm not building a temple anymore. I would have at the start of this round if I was going to, and I just didn't. So yeah, I probably should turn these down. I don't see what they're doing. But 2-for-1s are tempting. Assorted Needles is taking Fire 2 here too, because I guess he needs to for his towns. So he probably is taking both priest towns, which means I'm settling for a workers town, which does also change the math a bit on what I'm doing, but oh well. Oh no, he takes Air 1, which here's a thinker. There is a visionary. Cultist does run out of Air 1 then, but again, Cultist apparently didn't want Air 1, even though they could have had it. They wanted to just fight us on cults. I mean, whatever. I don't have. Admittedly, this is why I tend not to fight cults hard. I don't have killer instinct on cults, as in I don't. I just do not want to pay that much to close out cults. I think if I'm paying too many resources, it's not worth it. And I felt I was paying too many resources to have to do it, but others did not. So whatever. I convert a priest to a worker here. I take at least a 9-point town. I mean, points-wise, we're looking fairly good compared to George, but the problem is George did flip our cult equation. George is +5, +4 is 9. We're +4, so George is +5. Here is still a mess between us two, so George is roughly +5 on us. Pass tile means he's +9 on us, although we're going to pass for 4 more than him, so it's still about +5 on us directly. I don't know. It's a close game. Maybe George was reading it correctly that he needed to fight us. We definitely have to fight network hard here. I need to just lock up all the red hexes and build out our network as best as I can. One of the upshot is, yeah, I don't have to dig this hex anymore, but I mean, I think I might just need it anyhow because, well, I have I do have 2 red hexes still to build on currently. So the question is, can I build another whole structure? Probably not. It's probably not worth it, but it does look like George is kind of going for network. It's really hard. I think he's delaying his network plans to determine if he's going to go stronghold or not, but we'll see. You like the Air 1 from Darklings. Yeah, and they couldn't get both priest towns on fire too. Yeah. Was that a mistake from Darklings? No, I think Darklings taking Air 1 is totally correct. There's a chance I should be accepting these if it enables me to build out a whole nother structure. I still could be the annoying guy that takes Water 2, Water 3 type temple, and still builds out another trading post and another dwelling, right? I have 1, 2, 3 workers locked up. But then it would cost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more workers, which is how many I have. It would cost quite a lot more coins, and it would cost a spade that I don't have. So I could keep accepting 2-for-1s, hoping to make that all happen. At this point, I will. It might be wrong, but I'm going to do it. This hex probably isn't under threat. This hex probably isn't under threat. I don't really know which one to build first. I guess this one. Cultist might be coming next to me, and maybe I start accepting their free power also. if I'm actually going to build trading post temple, trading post dwelling, that's 6, 7, 8, 13 coins. I would need 4 more coins, which I technically have, but then I still would need 5 more power gain to get this spade. I could get 4 of the power from my temple. So I would still need 1 more power accept to make this all happen. Or I would need to wait it. Oh, wait, I have an extra priest, though. Huh, okay, actually, I can get down to only 2 structures left on my board. I don't know if I have to, but I can, which is going to mean I outright win network, so that would be pretty... Outright winning network is pretty good. I would like Darklings to contest Cultists on network a lot. Witches are still in the network race because they just had so much stuff. They have to hard dig a lot. Oh, and they need to build. They do need to get connection. How are Witches making this town, by the way? I don't even know. At this point, do I accept the 1 for 0? I mean, Cultists are going trading post, which suggests they are going the network route. I mean, they could still build a stronghold, but I think they're going the network route, which means Cultists might be getting down to 3 structures. So I think I am pushing so that I'm only left with 2. I do have to get single dig in that path, which isn't a guarantee. So maybe I accept some more power so I can thread a double dig. Because double dig might be my out to succeeding on this. So giving Cultists a cult step is painful here, but because I'm planning on taking Water 3, Water 2 at this point, I think it's correct. Water 2, Water 3 is actually worth a decent number of points too, so it's not as painful to build this temple as I thought. It's a little bit of a shame that I didn't do all these calcs at the start of the round, because just winning air track would have been quite good, but if I just win water track instead, it's also quite good. I assume this is fire 2 for Witches. Yeah, because I don't see how else they made the town. Which does suggest that Witches network's not going to be anything to write home about. So yeah, Cultists are definitely fighting network. And I think we're going to be able to beat Darklings on network. Darklings need to build a trading post for another town. And then Darklings are hoping to build dwellings. But the Darklings' issue is that they just ran out of cheap hexes, which I have remarked upon before that I think that's one of the biggest mistakes Darklings players make on this map is that they feel like they have a lot of hexes, but they don't get to many cheap blacks when they start on these spots. Darklings thus far this game have they've built on, they had to dig all of these. They've built on 1, 2, well, because they started here and here. So they've only got 1, 2 free hexes this game, which actually does really kind of slow down your network more than you're expecting. Because you just can't actually generate enough digs. They might take advanced ship so that they can reach these 2 hexes and hopefully build 2 more dwellings. But I don't think there's any way Darklings build this trading post in 3 dwellings. So we'll see. But I kind of think this might be a ship town, although that's not even quite enough resources to build 2 dwellings. It's a coin town. That makes sense. It's enough to ship and is enough to build 2 dwellings. But so Darklings are going to build 2 more dwellings, and they're only at 112. I guess they have pass points. But maybe we are still winning this, even with George really bombing us. I've been saying I was going to keep accepting all these. It's a bit painful to keep accepting them all, but given I have... Currently, it looks like we're all going to tie at 14 network, I think, which means we'd all get 12 points. But I'm hoping to make it so they each get 9 and I get 18. So, I mean, that's a 9 victory point swing. Guaranteeing that I can do it is very valuable. And the fact that I might need to pay for double dig instead of single dig is meaningful here. So I'm going to actually accept this one more time here. It might be a bit too much, but it can't be that bad. I definitely need to build the trading post. I'm pretty willing to give Witches free power this game still. That just does not concern me. So I will do so once again. I need to start doing calcs again. I need to build a dwelling. I feel like I have messed up my calcs slightly. Because I'm going to build a dwelling. Which is going to take me down a worker and 2 coins. So I'm only going to have 4 workers left and 5 coins. I need 5 workers, 10 coins. So I don't know where I did my math earlier. I must have already assumed I built more stuff than I had, but I need a lot of shit left to make this happen. Darklings did go on shipping. George also went for shipping, because George also is going to go for dwellings. I need this free hex regardless, but I think I have to keep accepting these 2-for-1s to make this happen, which is a bit rough. But Darklings are going to give me more 2-for-1 opportunities. Cultists might be giving me more free opportunities. So it's probably still worth it, but it's definitely a little questionable to keep throwing away these fractional points here. Because these guys definitely are ahead of me. I do only need one dig, King of Gods, but the reason I'm saying that I have to... The problem is that George at any point could single dig. I don't think he will, but the problem is if he realizes what I'm doing, he maybe will single dig, and that would mess me up. So it's a bit of a problem. Now, my next action maybe can be to single dig this... wait, see, the problem is I don't think I have a hex that I can reach that he can't, which is also a shame here. Because if I had a hex that Cultist couldn't reach, then I could single dig it to red, but I can't build on it right now. Yeah, like, I don't... I mean, I think George's resources are fairly committed to trading post-dwelling, which means he needs 5 more coins, and he needs all those workers. So, like, I don't think he can afford to do any dig actions, but I don't think I can risk anything. Oh, and I forgot about all the power I'm about to get from this move. I don't love showing witches what I'm about to do, but I don't see how I have another option here. I don't really think witches are going to fight me on water, but they might, because what else are they doing? I mean, they're making a thing, and then they're hopefully shipping. They're not even shipping, though. They're not even contesting network. I think witches are probably going to beat me on water track, too, the more I look at it, because I think that's just the sort of player they are. Oh, except I have a free priest. I can close out water. Closing out water is actually pretty big, and I do have the free priest. That should be enough power from here, so that's cool. I'm about to get 1, 2, 3, 4 from this, so I can convert another to a coin. And I could give witches... I should give witches 2-for-1 here rather than anything else. There is a water 2 and a water 3. Yeah, that's fine. We go water 2, water 3. Oops, I see. It does take me 2 turns to close this off, so that's the unfortunate part. I have enough for the trading post and the dwelling currently, plus the single dig. I don't have a lot of extra stuff here. I might still take another 2-for-1. I'll have to do the math here in a sec, but this still looks good. This is the trading post. This priest is the worker for the dwelling. So I need two coins, and I need a dig action. If I get the single dig, I'm fine. If I need the double dig... I still can convert this priest into 3 coins, maybe. Otherwise, I do need to accept another 2-for-1 leech. So I might have to accept what the Darklings are giving me just to be safe. We'll see. This is going to bring me to 110, plus the dwelling is going to be at 112, plus the pass, I'm going to be at 116. These guys are unfortunately going to be quite ahead of me directly. And Cultists... Yeah, I don't know. Cultist maybe does have this game, and maybe it is because he beat me on cults, so maybe I have to retract everything I said about him closing off all these cults, but... Ugh, I don't know. I still thought cultists were definitely going to build their strong... Oh, cultist only passing for 4 is actually a big boon, though. Maybe he won't be that far ahead, because he also gets nothing for the trading post. Darklings are definitely building one more dwelling, right? Yeah, they definitely have that. Oh, Darklings also get no points for their dwelling, but they do. Darklings are passing for 12, so they're going to be at 129. But I guess they have, like, no cults. We should still be ahead of that? I don't know. We'll see. You have one. Yellow in the south. Darkling doesn't have priest. Oh, yeah, I can single dig this. Funky. Okay. Well, that's good. I did miss this option, because this is a weird one. Mostly because I didn't trust Darklings. I mean, I don't trust witches either, though, right? Can I really trust witches? The answer is I don't trust players, but why don't we just do our temple first? Yeah, we did. Cults is 1 coin short for stronghold. Yeah, I mean, cultists can't stronghold. Cultists, I think, has to still go for temple in this dwelling. I don't see why they... Or not temple, but trading post in the dwelling. I don't see why they wouldn't, but... Witches can temple for water or whatever to close us out. I really hope they don't, but they probably will because I just think they're going to be that sort of player. George goes for a priest. That's shocking to me. What could that possibly be for? I don't understand the priest play at all. I guess to tie Darklings? I mean, George does not need priest for cults. I guess he can advance. Maybe he's just advancing dig, but why he doesn't need another priest. I have no idea why George just did that. I am worried that Witches is going to decide their best play is to build a temple just so that they can steal Water Cult on us with Water 2. I would stress again that I think that's wrong, but yeah, they're gonna, because of course they're gonna. Oh, God. Guys, I really sometimes don't know why I take the 2 key town. I swear, anytime I take the 2 key town, people do things that I think are just so bad. But they do them anyhow. I mean, I guess it's not that bad for Witches, but surely they have better ways to make points than build a 7 resource trading post or temple just so that they can lose a point on Air 1, just so that they can win a freaking cult. But whatever. People don't like giving up their cults. I don't think I have to accept this anymore. I think I do get single dig. It's a little risky to decline this, though, because of this. But, I mean, George can't currently threaten single dig. The problem is, I just hate the risk. I still hate the risk on getting blocked on single dig right at the end of this whole plan. But I just don't see what else I can do. I don't really want to accept this, but this gives me such safety. It might be throwing away a point, though. Yeah, screw it. I'll do it. I don't know. Whatever. So, I don't know if that's true, because they just threw away a point on Air 1, because they're only going to build 1 more trading post. They need to build the trading post for the town. And then, they have all of the scoring favors. If you have scoring favors, it's usually better to just build shit. But I guess maybe. I guess the problem is that move doesn't. I don't think it gives Witches any points technically. It just means that I get less points. But maybe it's still a net point for them. Maybe it's correct. Maybe this is why I'm supposed to have better instincts on closing out cults sooner, because otherwise I just wind up with this every freaking game, I swear. I never think people are going to be as aggressive on cults as they are, and I guess it's to my I get hurt. I'm the one complaining about it. They're happy, so. I do still have the resources to double dig here, so I have a guaranteed network here at least, but I did have to spend a bit to make this happen, and it was less good than I thought given what happened here. I'm still really curious why George took this priest. That's how cults work. I'm not getting that screwed, unfortunately. I'm just complaining a bit in terms of... I am complaining a bit much about people choosing to fight for cult points. I tend to feel like people overfight cults and should just let people have them a bit more than they do. I tend to think that people have paid too many points this game in order to get these cults. I don't pay attention to what George did with his priest. George sent it to Water Track. So George is now fighting Darklings. So, like, I mean, I think George is doing some really inefficient little moves here at the end in order to get a couple more cult points as well. I still feel like this whole air move for George is possibly wrong. I think George very much could have built a stronghold if he didn't build this temple. And an 11-point stronghold compared to... I mean, the problem is the temple, if he thinks I'm his main competitor, which I guess I am, it's probably worth it, but... Oofda still is all I have to say about all this. We convert, we do get single dig, and it doesn't matter where we put this. We're going to 15 network. We do need to go to 15 network. George still presumably needs to go to 14 network. I think it's still worth it to him, but I don't know. We're gonna be at 115. We're gonna be at 115. Unfortunately, I did accept a couple too many leeches in order to be safe. Hopefully, that doesn't actually cost us. I would like to decline George as he builds, but I'm not sure everybody is going to decline him. But George is probably going to build a trading post and a dwelling still. But we'll see. The only cult I can do this on is water. It's definitely a bit painful that I invested this much in the cults and just didn't close out more cults sooner. Again, I guess this is my bad. I was supposed to go for a more. I mean, George did pass on taking coins in order to steal Earth on us too. If I'm George, I might just take coin. Like, I don't know. I guess he chose to prioritize winning cults, and maybe he's right to do so. I still would like to think that taking the coins and just building stuff was probably better, but maybe I'm wrong. So whatever. I mean, we are +9 on him on network, which is good, and we did beat him on water. I mean, I think I still won this game, actually, despite all my caterwauling here, but... I don't think I have anything else here, so I pass. We get to 115. George is going to be at 1. The problem is George is going to be at 115, 119. We're +9 on network. So we're only +4 on him, and cult-wise, he's... I don't even know. We might have beat him by a point or something. It's really bad. Caterwauling about cults is my favorite endgame activity. Well, great. I'm glad I can provide that. I think George is thinking he can draw Darklings on water and also get the trading post and dwelling out with the power. Just explain the priest. We only took 2 extra VP. Yeah, we lost 2 points given what we could have done. It does look like I think we win by like 2 points still anyhow, but I did throw away 2 points of leech in the final round that I didn't need to because I did get single dig. But I accepted the leech because I thought I might need to guarantee double dig until George took that priest. Maybe once he took the priest, I could have known and I could have declined one. But I don't know. But we are +9 on George on network, so we do win this game still. It was very close. I guess George was correct to not value Darklings, and maybe he was correct to take these cults. I would not have taken the cults. I would have taken the coins if I was George and tried to get a stronghold out, and maybe that would have lost things for me, because I would have a lot more cult points, and so the differentials were really important to George. So don't know, but it's very nice to get a win at a strong table here again. And getting 16 points, moving up to 9th is great. I mean, we had moved up to 10th our last stream, but again, everybody's moving up right now. So getting to 1732 is really good. That was more stressful than most. Yeah, I mean, we did finally have a stream against other really strong players, and it's not easy to just beat other really strong players. I still really am surprised about the Darklings bids. Nothing about this game has convinced me that these Darklings bids were anything but wrong. Earth 2 is so useless for me. Yeah, I mean, because of the way he chose to play. I mean, I guess this track was never favorable to Earth 2, so maybe it was wrong, but... Oh my god, we thought a long time this game, everybody. That's a bit crazy, but... This was a tough one for us. Wow, I spent a lot for priest this game, and I did have to, I single dug. I did not dig much to make this network. It's pretty impressive. I'm pretty surprised we made 15 network with only 2 digs. Getting these coins was always helpful, obviously. We did collect the most coins this game. We collected almost as many workers as anybody else. We collected, almost as many priests as Darklings. We collected the most powers. I mean, we had the most stuff. We hit the rounds reasonably well. These guys primarily hit the rounds a little bit better, mostly because they hit an extra town in the final round. But we just knocked the park out of favors. I mean, that's a lot of what Chaos can do. That's part of why Chaos, I think, can be really strong if they just get Earth 1. I mean, because we got Earth 1 and we started with only one structure, I mean, that was we wound up with 15 networks. So we built 28 victory points off of Earth 1. And then we got a lot off of Water 1, Air 1. We didn't get a lot off passes, but we did hit that a little bit. Got okay towns, and then, yeah, one network is big. Decent cults still, despite we probably put too much effort in the cults and or not quite enough. We definitely needed to close some more out, but I guess not because we won anyhow, but we did get a nice amount of leech all game, although we might have paid a little too much, so not sure. He's thinking he should have just got Earth 1 in hindsight. Yeah. Was surprised he passed on it. Thankful, though. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he could have afforded Water 2 either. I don't know. You was hoping to see a strong Witches game. Heroic Logic, is that somewhat mocking me? Like, I feel like I play Witches all the time on stream, and then, yeah. But I mean, to be fair, like, I'm never opposed to playing more Witches games. Don't you worry. There'll be more Witches in the future. If I could have just got Witches for the right price, but I mean, ultimately, I do think taking Chaos here was correct. I think the price for Chaos that I got turned out to be right. It's a little hard to know, though, since the Witches player was the weakest at the table and probably mucked it up at various points. One of their problems is that Water 1 was so bad for their economy. They really should not have taken Water 1. Failing to 3 town and failing to tie network is pretty bad. I mean, people did get to 14 network, though. I mean, us getting to 15 network was a bit of a surprise, but I agree, although I have almost not lost yet with Darklings on this map. You wanted to see how it held up versus a good table. Gotcha. Yeah. You think we mix it up with a big econ opener just for variety? Yeah, thanks, Crix. Thanks for the resin as always. I mean, to be fair, part of what I like about Chaos is that, I mean, opening Sanctuary is kind of a big econ game. I mean, you're building up a lot, but you get so much. Your econ's pretty wild, right? Like, a good big econ opener for a lot of other factions is like maybe like Temple 4 dwellings. So you're making a priest and 5 workers. If you're a Sanctuary Chaos Magician, you're producing a priest, 2 workers, 5 power, and 3 coins. That's fairly equivalent. Now, the big difference is you have a lot less stuff built on the board, and so that's kind of the major difference. Like, I have a Sanctuary on the board compared to a Temple and like 4 or 5 dwellings on the board. Or 4 dwellings on the board. I mean, that's a pretty big difference in terms of the amount of stuff you've already built, and so that's part of what's so interesting about Chaos Magicians is that you're kind of leveraging this faction that gets a lot of extra resources early, but you have to really be able to invest those and snowball them hard. But I mean, yeah, you have to have a lot of econ in order to build 15 structures, even as a normal faction. And so, yeah, that's part of the power of like Chaos's Sanctuary start. It's part of why I still go for Sanctuary starts, I think, a lot more often than some other players. One of the most interesting decisions I thought in the Fire 2 game yesterday was the fact that, like, it looked like the Chaos Magicians player was running just 2 favors all the way towards, like, somewhere into, like, round 4 or something. I tend to think that's pretty wrong. The main advantage of Chaos is that you get all those favors rapidly. So I tend to just take them, but... But they didn't have Air 2, which was rough. Yeah, interesting. I didn't watch all of the F2O game yet, actually, because I was pretty busy this weekend, so I'm going to catch up on it. I kind of was half watching it, so I have like a I have like a really hazy view of how the game went, but I definitely want to study a bit more. But yeah, thanks, George. I sorry for being mad at you. If you watch this later, I kind of yell at you for taking all my cults because I didn't think you would. But in hindsight, it probably was right. But I'm still a bit annoyed because I'm not entirely sure you passing on coins and skipping like just going for your stronghold and stuff is better. But given that they were 8 victory point swings versus me, it probably was right for you to just build all those temples and take all those favors and settle for slightly lower VP towns directly. But yeah, it's a really interesting decision. I should have just tried to. I probably should have tried even harder to just wrap up cults quicker. Or it turns out since I did wind up settling for a temple later, I should have. I should have at least won the air cult probably, but I didn't really have the plan to go to 15 network until later in the round. When I noticed the fact you were going to get to 14 network and Darklings were probably going to get to 14 network, and realizing how important hitting 15 network would be, did I realize I should probably push for it. So but yeah, anyhow, regardless, George, that was a really nice game from you. You did make a lot of really good decisions throughout. You obviously were the closest guy here at the end. I think your bidding was also fairly in line with mine through most of this game. I was really surprised, in particular, at the prices Assorted Needles was willing to pay for Darklings. Although I think you were bidding him down a bit, but maybe I'm wrong. I just find Darklings. I guess he was thinking. Apparently, like through the chat here, it sounds like Assorted Needles thought he was going to get a center town, and a center town does really change the dynamic here for Darklings. Because if Darklings just get one more town, I mean, they're very competitive, if not winning. So, I suppose. But yeah. You did bid a bit early for Darklings, but ditched them once they went down too far. Yeah, I mean that's what I did too. I was really surprised how much Assorted Needles paid for them, and I remarked on that during the bidding that I was not touching them for the prices others were going for. I'm still really sad. Like part of me still really wishes I just paid more for Witches. The fact that Witches didn't 3-town in the town round. They didn't contest network. They did a lot of other wrong things. I mean, Witches letting me onto this hex is actually a huge turning point in the game too, right? There's no way I can test network if Witches block me from this, and Witches are probably supposed to have blocked me from this because then maybe they do 3-town. I mean, Witches are probably supposed to have flown here though, and also this would really slow down Darklings because Darklings without this hex don't have an easy they don't. I don't know how Darklings expand much this game if they don't get this hex. I guess they would have had to go for this one earlier and try to go on these. But Witches, as always with arena games, the weaker player often kind of does stuff you don't quite expect and throws the game around a bit too, which is always a bit tough. But oh well. Anyhow, that's probably a lot of post game here. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of them not taking the Grace. You could get it. I mean, you shouldn't be. I mean, this is a huge gift for me. I mean, presumably you do about as well. if that doesn't happen, and I'm pretty far behind, I mean, I'm not even sure I get second over Assorted Needles. I probably do. I probably have a path to making up enough points, but it's really uncertain because this hex makes towning so much easier here. It makes me get to 2 more red hexes, which is really critical for me contesting network like this. So yeah, I was pretty surprised. Well, I was somewhat surprised, although during that round I kind of sensed it was going to happen if I just advanced ship and built other places first, that they were probably just going to pass before doing anything about that hex, and indeed that's what happened. But them not taking that was a big mistake for them, certainly. Like, I still think Witches not going for an earlier Stronghold was probably a big mistake. I think if Witches just take this hex and then get over here, Witches should pretty easily, I think, hit 15 network on this map when they have no color neighbors. But whatever. I mean, it's such a big swing. But I've done a lot of post game here, and this was already quite a long stream. Yeah, we're at like a 2.5 hour stream. Wow. I mean, the game didn't start right away either, but I also thought for a long time and been talking for a long time, and I should just go do other things like cuddling my sleepy dog and other stuff and have a good evening or something. But I might stream one more game yet tonight. I don't know. I've been having fun, and it's been good to grind. But yeah, exactly, George, right? You're trying to send brainwaves, please take this, and I'm sending brainwaves, please just pass and don't worry about it. And I was the one that got lucky there, but yeah, I mean, that probably was enough for you to win otherwise, but oh well. Yeah, thanks for the game too, George. It was nice to be able to play you again here in Arena. That was really well played from you. You probably should have won. I probably got a little lucky, but again, you're playing in Arena. It's rolling with the punches, I guess, is a bit of it, but it can be a bit frustrating. I was definitely a bit frustrated when I thought I was losing, partly because I thought you were undervaluing Darklings at one point in this round when you were stealing the cults, and I thought we were both going to lose to Darklings, but your read was right. You did need to steal cults from me, and it still wasn't quite enough, so that was really good play on you. This was a really fun game. I was glad to get a nice Chaos Magicians win on this stream, especially. I don't know if we did anything that unusual, but we just made kind of solid decisions throughout and then got a little lucky during the expansion round. But yeah, that was a good game. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for those who chatted and stuff. It's always good to have you all around. I'll keep streaming throughout this week. Still trying to climb an arena. Yep. All right. I'm going to head off now. See you all around.